project series. First up, we will start with spreadsheets. Spreadsheets are one of the most common tools you are going to use in your data analyst job. In this coming project, we are going to use Google Sheets to analyze my own travel expenses data of my trip to varied countries. We are going to use simple, intermediate, and also advanced functions using Google Sheets and drive insights and find interesting stats from my data. So this is the data set we are going to work with. It's in fact my original data. I always want to showcase original data and we can do some analysis on it. That's always interesting. So this is like the date. This is the country where I've been to. This is the city. Then I have something called as cost. Let's say this is in euros. There's a column called category ID, right? It has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10, 9, all these numbers. What this is, for this sake, we have a second table called category. So as you see, category ID, each of them signifies a specific area where I've spent money, right? One is breakfast. For instance, 7 is some entrance ticket to some place or some museum or whatever. 10 is like something that has been done with shopping and so on, right? So we have two simple data sets. And now we are going to solve some questions using Google Sheets, right? Like plenty of questions, plenty of concepts and topics we are going to do. So let me directly jump into the question list. We'll try to crack them one by one, right? This will be great practice for you. We are going to cover a wide array and range of functions as well. So first of all, find the unique values for each of the columns and show us how to count the unique values, right? So unique values for each of the columns, what is the formula you can use? I'll just show you for one specific column. Let us say I want to find the unique countries that I've been to, right? I've been to a number of countries. So how I can do that is using the unique function itself. So you can say unique and just select the full range, right? B2 is to B128. So now I get the unique names of countries that I've been to, right? Around 8 countries. So suppose I want to count the unique countries, what we can do, the only difference in the formula is you say count unique and you will select the same range, okay? So now I'll get 8. Why? Because I've been to 8 unique countries, right? So if you put unique, you'll get the actual values. If you say count unique, you'll get the number of unique values, right? Same way, if we have to do the same thing for another example, let us say city, I can simply say unique, open brackets, and select the different column, right? So I can select this. And you see I've been to so many different cities, right? Basically I've been to 12 different cities across 8 different countries, right? So unique is a powerful use case. So do remember that, and when you want to count unique values, use count unique function, right? Very, very relevant. So we have done first question. Now next question comes, how can you combine the category table with the original data? So I have category table here where I have the actual name of the category. How can I combine it with the original data, right? Maybe I'll just insert one more column here just to kind of create some space. So how can we combine these two? So I have category ID here and I have category ID here, right? They are the same common column. Now we can join these two data sets using the VLOOKUP formula because we have a common matching column, right? How can we do that? So I can add a new column and I will call it category itself. So I will simply say VLOOKUP. I want to look for this category ID value. Where do I want to look for it? I'll go to this table. I will select this range, right? This is the range where I want to find. In this, which column do I want to look for? I want to look for the second column, right? Because second column has the actual value of the category and I want an exact match. So I'll put false, okay? And also remember, for the whole formula range, I want this to be fixed, right? Always I'm going to refer to the same A2 to B14 range. So I will just lock it with the dollar. And now I get, okay, category ID 1 means breakfast. And now let us say I can just go here and double click the plus. I will get the formula copied accordingly, right? So for example, 5, category 5 means for travel, right? Basically for flights. Let us just double check. So 5 is travel, okay? Now we have the column category also in our original data. We managed to integrate it with a simple VLOOKUP function. Very, very powerful function. Next question, what is the total cost spent on breakfast overall? There are multiple ways to do it. I'm going to teach you a simple way using SUMIF, okay? So let me go here, and like only for breakfast I want to count the cost, right? So what I can do, for example, I can write breakfast, okay, and I can say sum if, right, what is the range, right, where I want to check for the criteria. I want to check this column, so I'll select this complete thing. Okay, the second thing is the actual criterion, right? What is the criteria? I want it to match with breakfast, so I will select this, and in the case it matches, I want to sum the values in this column, right? So I just select that and leave it. Okay, so I noticed that for breakfast alone overall spent around 400 euros, right? Simple use of sum if, right? So if we want to verify this, for example, we can simply put a filter, right? Let us just filter out breakfast. This is just to cross check. So I'll filter out breakfast and I can see the total cost. As you see, the sum is coming to 400. So overall, across all these tips for breakfast, I have spent 400 euros. So I'm going to just remove the filter. This is a powerful use case of sum if, very good function to know. Okay. Next, total cost spent on travel for Spain. Okay, there's an extra twist here. There are two conditions. Okay, so travel is one column and also specifically for country Spain, right? So in this case, what we can do, we can use a sum ifs function. We want to give multiple conditions, right? So for instance, I will just write these two words here, right? For example, I can write Spain and travel, and now I will use a sum ifs function, right? So I will say sum ifs. Here the first thing is the sum range, so I want to sum this range. Okay, and now criteria range number one, right? Criteria range number one is basically country, so I'm going to select B2 to B128. What is the first criteria? I'm going to select if that ever matches the value here, which is Spain, and then criteria range 2. Criteria range 2 is basically the last column, right? Basically our category column. And what is actual criteria 2 here? Criteria 2 is actually if it matches travel. Okay, and I'm going to close, and I get the value as 768, right? So 768 is the amount I've spent on travels to Spain. If you see here, it's a 280 here on a trip to Mallorca, and there's one more Spain, Madrid, where travel was 488. If you add them up, you'll get that number. So that is the answer. So sum is, so sum a column here, in the case cost column, but based on multiple conditions. Country must be Spain, at the same time the category must be travel. Okay, another useful use case I would say. Then how many rows are there in the data that have category as travel? Okay, so we want to count the number of rows here. So this is a simple use case of a count if function. Okay, so I'm simply going to say count if. So this is the range. Again, I want to check in this range, right? I'll select them all, and I want to make sure how many of them equate to travel, right? So I have the word set up here already, so I'll just click that cell, and as you see, there are 11 times in 11 rows there is some cost associated with travel, right? Simple use case of the count if function. Okay, moving on to the next one. Find the month of the date using a calculation in a new column. So in this data we are given month, right? How can we find the we are given the date, how can we find the month, right? I'm just going to show a dummy formula here how you can do it. There's actually month function itself directly, and you just select month of date, okay, and you close it, you get 12, right? So this is December 24th 2022, so month is 12. So it gives an auto suggestion. If you want, you can drag the formula. Just going to remove it for now, but you can use the month function as you see for that question. Next question, use an if formula to show wherever costs greater than 100 are expensive, the other value should be shown as cheap. Okay, so I'm going to go back here, right? So let's call this column like price or something like that. So if it is greater than 100, so I would say if this value is greater than 100, right, then it is expensive. Very simple. Otherwise I'll call it cheap, right? As simple as that, and close the bracket. Okay, so 20 is obviously less than 100, so it's cheap. I'm going to drag the formula. So this is 230, obviously it's expensive, and so on. Okay, easy use case of a simple if function. Many a times you might use this in your job as well. Okay, moving on to the next one. Show a pivot table for average cost per country. right? So what can we do? I'm going to just select the whole range, right? All the rows and columns. And now I'm going to just say insert pivot table, and I'm going to put it in a new sheet. Going back to the question, average cost per country, right? So in the rows, I can add country, right? Here it is. And then in the values, I can add the cost, right? I don't want to show the sum. I want to show the average. I will select the average. So then I get the values, right? So as you see, average cost per country, um, Colombia, it's, yeah, around 164. Other countries are like slightly lesser, right? What could be the reason, right? If we were asked to investigate one step further, why this number is high? If we go back into the data and deep dive a little bit, you see mostly cost is like this. Travel is maybe 200, 300, and so on. But if we notice specifically for Colombia, travel itself costs 2600 euro, right? This is the flight ticket. Going from Europe to South America is quite costly, and this is the anomaly, right? This is the reason why the average for Colombia is high, right? You notice this is very high. This is the reason. You need to be able to investigate and find reasons like that, because there is a abnormal value. You should be able to find out what is the root cause of that abnormal value, right? This is an additional thing you could do for this question. Then simple calculation. How would you display the first two letters for each country, right? So I have the country as a column here. How can I display the first two letters for each country? For example, for Austria, I want to show AU. We can use a simple text function called left. So I would say left. I would select the string, which is this, and just say 2, right? That will just show the first two letters. So if I copy the same formula, for instance, for here, for Slovakia, you see you will get ESL, right? Very simple use case of left function, very powerful function, text function. Moving on, write a function to find or check if a city name contains the letter V. Okay, what can we do for this case? So I'm just going to copy this data up to price, and I'm going to go to a new sheet and just paste special, like basically the values. So now if we want to check if the letter V is there in the word or not, we can simply use a find function. Okay, I'll write find. So I want to search for the letter V, and where do I want to search for? I want to search for in the I think it was city or country. Let's just go back here. Yeah, it is for the city, right? So if it shows value, obviously it's an error, because yeah, it is not able to find it, right? So if I drag this formula down, you can see Bratislava has the letter V. None of these have anything. Plitvice has the letter V. So the interesting thing to note here is Vienna has the letter V, but it has a capital V, right? That is the reason it is still showing a value error, which means it cannot find V. So let us convert this into a capital V and see. Then we get the value 1 because it is able to find a capital V in Vienna, right? So remember, there's a differentiation between the small letter V and the capital letter V if we want to showcase. Next one, formula to show the second, third, and fourth letters of the column category, right? I'll go to this new sheet, second, third, and fourth letters, right, of column category, which is here. So what we can do is we can try to use the mid function. So I'll say mid of this particular string. Then I want to start from the second letter and then show the next three letters. So I will put 3. So in breakfast, I'll get second letter, third letter, fourth letter, which is REA. Now I can drag the formula down. For lunch, you will get UNC. For dinner, you will get IANN. Travel, you'll get second, third, and fourth is RAV, and so on. Okay. Another useful function to know, mid, right? Very relevant. Moving to the next question, which country cost the most money overall according to the data, right? Which had the highest cost? So for this, again, we can just select everything, right? You can go to the pivot table and say create a pivot table. So again, I'm just going to select country, and then I'm going to select in values cost, right? The total cost, right? As you notice here. And then after that, what can we do? Just think about it. So if you notice here, we want to arrange it by sum of cost but descending, right? So what can we do? We can go here and select sum of cost. Okay, this should work. And then we notice, of course, total cost wise, Colombia and Peru are on the top, right? Overall cost wise, these two are the most expensive, right? Let me move to the next question. So we are done with question this one, right? So conditional format rows which have country as Spain with red color, date before 12th July 2023, right? Any date that is before 12th July 2023 with blue color. Okay, so let us try this. I'll go to the original data. So country as Spain, right? How can we conditional format? Let me go here, format. I'll say conditional formatting. So for this whole set, I want to apply a rule. Let us say text is exactly, and then I will write Spain, and I want to do red color, right? So I'll select red color, and the rule is written and it's done. Okay, so that means Spain is quoted red, right? Let's see if there is some more Spain later. Yes, it's also given red color, right? That's perfect. Okay, let us move on to the next one, which is for the date, right? So what they are asking us is anything before 12th July should be blue color. So for example, let me select one date. I'll go to format, conditional formatting, and I say, for example, this cell, and I can say custom formula, right? This is cell A2. So I'll say if this is less than, I will use the date function. Okay, so date 2023, July is the 7th month, 12, right? Anything before that, please quote it with blue color. Okay, and I will say done. So by doing that, yes, this is before 12 July 2023, it is blue color. And what I can do, I can format paint and just drag it along all the way down to the end of the data, right? Like this. And I have stopped here, and now let's say which all got blue color. So as you see, all this date is 13 December. So up to any date before 12th July, which is like up to 10th July, got quoted with blue color. Okay, this is how you can do conditional formatting for a particular column in Google Sheets. So that question is done. What was the highest value of cost in that given data? This is a simple one line formula. So you can say maximum of the value of cost in this column, right? Which is the full E. So I presume it will be 2600, which I already showed you, right? I think it's the travel that happened with, if I remember right, it'll be in Bogota, like Colombia. This is what it is. Okay, moving on to the next question. Which category cost the most money in Peru? Here, instead of calculating, I'm just going to go through the data, right? Because there's not a lot of rows for Peru. If we scroll down, we see plenty of combinations here. So what can we probably do? We can try to maybe do the pivot table again. So I'm just going to select everything, right? These columns, and I'm going to say insert pivot table. Okay, the first thing I want to add is I want to add a filter for country. That's the first thing. Here we can select what we want to show. I'm going to clear everything and I just show Peru, right? So it's data only for Peru. Now coming to rows, what can we add here? We can add the category, and then in the values I can add total cost. Okay, so I have these values. Now order by, I can say descending sum of cost. Okay, so now I notice again with respect to Peru, to an extent we can see that travel is probably the costliest, right? And how do I know this is only Peru? Because here I've selected only for Peru. Okay, so travel is costing around 960, right? That's probably one of the most expensive. Now let me move back. Now they're asking, can you create a drop down list of cities and show the total cost of a particular city depending on the city selected, right? So for this, what we can do, I'm going to copy all this. I'm going to go to a new sheet, right? I'm going to paste special. I will say values only, right? Now they want a drop down of cities. How can we do a drop down? For that, we can go to data validation, right? We can add rules. But before that, we want to find the unique values of cities, right? That will make our calculation easier. So I will write unique and I will select the full list of cities, right? As a first step. So I have the list of cities. From this, I can generate the drop down. Now I can go back to data validation and say add rule. And then from here, I'm just going to say drop down from a range. Okay, so it's going to apply to basically this cell over here, right, which is I3, which is written here. And now drop down from a range I'm selecting, and what are the values? So I want to select all these values, Okay, I'm going to click OK and say done. Now let's close. Okay, so now I have the city, and now it's a simple matter of writing a sum if function. Okay, I'm going to say sum if, then I'm going to say, for instance, city range. So I'm going to select everything, right? And what is the criteria? If it is equivalent to the one we have in the drop down, which is I3, then please show the total cost. So the sum range of this column, which is column E. Okay, so it's 143 for Bratislava. Now if I change it to Berlin, it's 144. Banja Luka is 281, and so on, right? If I change it to Plitvice, it's 252, and so on, right? The total cost, uh, depending on the city selected, right? We did data validation, created a drop down. How many unique months are there in the data? How can we find this? So to find this, what we can do, I mean, we have so many months here, right? So we can first try to find the month. So I'll insert one column to the left again, right? Let me say month. And then, as you all know, we can put a simple formula, month of date, A2. That's done. I'm just going to drag this. Okay. And now from this column, I can simply write count unique, right? To count the number of unique months, write the formula with the right spelling. And I want to do it for H2 to H128, and then that's it. So we have only 4 unique months. It's a little bit weird. Let's check. We have 12, 1, 6, 7, and again 12, right? More or less, yeah. So you have December, if you notice, then you have July, June, then yeah, January, there is there, and then again December, right? So the count unique values says that it's only 4. So 12, 1, 6, and 7. Okay. Then moving on to the next one. So this is a bit more complicated, I think. They want us to create a grid with countries on the one side, categories on the other, use an index match to showcase formulas to display the total cost depending on a combination. This question seems very, very clumsy, but let's break it down and see what it actually means, right? So for this question, what I'm going to do is, so they're asking based on countries and then categories and the total cost. Okay, so easiest option I can think about is, first I will create a pivot table. As usual, I will say insert pivot table in a new sheet. Okay, now step number 1, I will bring country to rows, then I'll bring category to columns, and then for the values I'll click and say sum of cost. Okay, so this is done. Now we have for all the different categories the thing. So now they want us to create a drop down, right? So this is going to be a bit tricky. So let us say I will have Austria here, for example, right? Just to show you a simple example. Then let us say I write dinner here. Okay, so now for Austria, for dinner, what was the total cost, right? If we see the grid, we see the value 12. How can we use index match to show this automatically, right? So what we can do, we will have to use formulas, right? First I will try to match, okay, the value of Austria and see over in this grid which row does it match to. I'm going to select all this, and now I will get it matches the first row, right? Because Austria comes in the first row. So if I have were to change this to Bosnia, then it will show second row, because in this list of values Bosnia comes in the second row, right? So this is one value. The same match I will use to see where does dinner come in this full list of categories. So I can say match of dinner, right? And now I want to compare it with this list of categories. So I'm going to select all these values all the way up to travel. Okay, and I put a 0 because I want an exact match. So it shows that dinner is the second column, right? If I were to, let's say, select game, then it would be the fourth column, right? Because breakfast, dinner, entrance, game, right? So let me move it back to dinner. So now I have where it comes in the country, like which row, and where it comes in the category, like where is the column basically. Now what we can do, right, once we do these two steps, we can use the index function, right? And now what we need to do is we have to select the whole range, right? just select the range of the 13 columns and the countries, right? No need to select the grand totals. Selecting the whole range, and in this we need to put 2 comma 2, right? That was the value we had. We get 40, right? So instead of 2 comma 2, I can substitute it with this cell values, which is B19 and C19, right? So I'll make it B19. I'll make this C19. Now I get 40. So for Bosnia, for dinner it costs 40, right? Let us say now I change it to Peru. So for Peru, so this value has changed. So Peru for dinner it cost 189, right? So now the grid changes automatically. If I change dinner to entrance, for Peru for entrance, right? For Peru for entrance it costs 200 and we get that value. Now our value is dynamic. So you need to match the column and the row and then put it into an index function for the whole array, and then accordingly based on the row and the column your value will automatically change, right? Cool use case of index and match. Moving to the next question, 21st question. Can you use a filter function to showcase only data when country equal to Colombia? Right. So what I'm going to do again, I'm going to copy this, right, the whole data. I'm going to put it in a new sheet. Okay. I'm going to paste special. So filter function to show only the information when country is Colombia, right? So for this, we can use a filter function which is directly there in Google Sheets. I'm going to say filter, right? So let us say I want to filter the whole range of data. So I'll select everything, right? And what is the condition that I want to apply? I want to apply it for this column, right? Basically country column, and say whenever this is equal to Colombia, we can write like this, right? So filter, what is the range you want to show, then which column you want to filter, and what is the criteria. Here it has to be equal to Colombia. So I'm going to write like that. Now you notice I got, like, with just one formula, it's an array formula, I got all the rows just for Colombia, right? Basically Colombia, and in that there was only one city, which is Bogota, right? Super powerful function filter. So definitely learn it. Very good to know. Moving back to the questions, they're saying use text join function. Maybe this is new for us, to show cities separated by a hyphen depending on the name of the country, right? For one particular date of your choice, right? This seems very confusing, you know. So let us maybe go back to the data, right, over here. So they are keen to select one particular date, right? So for example, let us select just 24th December, right? There's only Austria in here, but I will still copy this to a new sheet. Okay, so for this date, for the particular country, right, showcase all the cities separated by a hyphen, right? So in this case, Austria has only one city, right? How can we apply this function? How can we apply this? So you will have to say text join, okay, and then you want to separate them by a hyphen, you put that first. Then if you want to, if there is empty values, if you want to ignore, you can leave it blank. So I'm going to leave it blank. And then what do you want to showcase? So I will basically put a filter formula here. Say, so here I want to basically showcase the city, okay, and the criteria is this thing should be equal to a particular country, right? Austria, for example. Let's see what we get. So I get Vienna separated by hyphen, right? Just like that. Hypothetically, if I had something else like Salzburg or something, then as you see, I'll get Vienna, Salzburg, Vienna, right? So essentially, this is what it is. If we want to test this formula on a better data, I can also go back to my previous sheet, right, and grab some other data where I have multiple countries, right, multiple cities. Like Peru has Lima on the different days, Cusco on a different day, Machu Picchu on a different day, right? So maybe I can just grab some of this to just show you. So I'll just copy all this, come back to sheet 7, right? Let me just paste it again here like this, right? So the columns are not sorted. Let me just delete them for now and also remove this column. Now what I can do here, if I have to do text join, I could do the same thing, right? Text join, delimiter here is the hyphen, then I'm going to ignore the empty and the text. So I can, as usual, put a filter on a filter for this, and then I'm going to say based on the criteria, that is this is equal to Peru. Okay, now I'll get Lima, Lima. Basically all these city names, they are coming in an order, and hyphen is there to separate each of them, right? That is the whole purpose of this question. So good function to know text join. It's not so complicated but not commonly used also, but it's good to know. It's like an add-on question. Which country costs the highest money for travel, right? So I think we did a kind of similar question somewhere. So let's go back to one of the pivot tables. So here I have sum of cost, right? So like, let me go back to edit. Which country costs the highest for travel, right? So here I'm not going to show only one item. I'm going to select everything. Okay, and then let me just remove country from here, right? Here I will add a category, right? So I want to see only for travel, right? So I'm going to clear and select only travel. That is step number 1. Okay, and actually here in the rows I'm going to remove category and I'm going to add country, right? And now the filter is only applying for travel. As you notice, which country costs the highest for travel? Again, it's Colombia, 2600. As we can see, we can also sort and see, but yeah, it costs the most for travel. I think we did a similar question before. Insert a pie chart to show cost breakdown per category, right? So I can go back to pivot table 7. Cost breakdown per category. So what can we do? I'm just going to remove the filter here, and instead of country I can add cost breakdown by category. So I have this, so I can now simply select this full thing, right? And I can say the chart, and we get pie chart, right? So we get the percentages. Stay cost 19.7%, travel was the most expensive 57%, breakfast 4.8%, dinner 4.6%, and so on, right? Simple pie chart can showcase, okay, which cost the most in a very visually appealing format. Then translate the word travel into Spanish, right? So here we can use a Google Translate function itself. So I'm going to say Google Translate. What is the text, right? The text is travel. I'm going to put that source language, right? I want to translate it from English. Obviously, this is English to Spanish. Spanish will be ES. So if I translate this, I get viaja. Like J sounds like a head sound. So that means travel, right? So you can do that. Cool. So we have done that. Let's move to the next question. Display total cost spent per month, right? Remember, December was there in 2 years, but they are looking at month level. So we can use the same month, although it was different years. And let us see, right? So what can we do? We can maybe go to the original data again, right? So I'm going to simply say insert. First, let me copy this to a new sheet, right? Because I want to do the month calculation as well. Let me just say paste special, right? I just want to paste the values. So I'm going to do month and say month of this date. Okay, and then drag the formula. So step number 1. Step number 2, select them, insert, pivot table, create. So rows will have month, then values will have sum of cost, and then percentage of total, right? So for that, here you can see values is shows as, you can select percentage of column, then that will show, okay, 80% of the cost came from December, right? This is an easy way to do it. Okay, let's move to the next question. How many days were spent in Spanish speaking countries, right? How do we know which is Spanish speaking? This like needs some basic knowledge. So here I know, for example, Spain, Colombia and Peru are the Spanish speaking countries, right? So what can we do? I can again copy this data and put it into a new sheet. I will paste special. Okay, then I can put a filter and only select Spanish speaking countries, right? What is those? Peru, Spain, and Colombia, right? So these are the dates. Now count the unique days, right? So I'll simply say count unique of this, right? So now I have the filtered data. Let's say I can copy this and put it into another new sheet, right? So now here I have only Spain, Peru, and Colombia, right? Now I can find the unique number of days. So I can say count unique of this column basically. So there are about 22 unique days I have spent in these Spanish speaking countries, right? That is there. Then concatenate country and city separated by a hyphen, right? This seems a simple question. How can we concatenate country and city? So let us go to the original data again, or this column, for example. I'm going to remove the filter again, right? Concatenate country and city. So we can do it two ways. You can use concatenate this one, which is country, then put a hyphen and then select the city, right? This is option number one, Austria hyphen Vienna. Option number two is you can select this, put an ampersand, then hyphen, ampersand, and then the city C2, right? So either use ampersand or you can use concatenate function. Both are going to work to do this. Then how do you remove duplicates from the country column? So this is also very straightforward. If I go back to the original data, let us copy the country column into a new sheet. So I'm going to space special values. So now if I want to remove duplicates, I can get to data, data cleanup, remove duplicates. And now I get the only the original countries, the unique countries, which is 8: Austria, Slovakia, Germany, Spain, Bosnia, Croatia, Colombia, and Peru. Okay. So I hope you enjoyed the video. We have managed to solve all the questions. I'll post the sheet also in our description. Have a look at it. Just to finish off, suppose some of the formulas you're not aware of, right? You can obviously use ChatGPT. So I'm going to show you some interesting examples where even if you don't know the formula, how you could leverage ChatGPT. Let us take simple example of that Google Translate question for travel. So you can write me a Google Translate function in Google Sheets to convert the word travel from English to Spanish. Okay, simple example. ChatGPT will probably give you the formula. Google Translate function says travel en and es, right? En is English, es the target language is Spanish, right? So a simple level it can easily teach you things like this, right? If we are to just give it one more scenario, for example, here I have like the data, right? Let's say country is in column B, cost is in column E. I want to find only the total cost for country Spain, right? We want to do sum if, but let's see if we can generate that using ChatGPT, right? I have column B as country, column E as cost. Write me a sum if formula to show only the cost when the country column has value, let's say Spain, right? And it's going to give a simple sum if formula. It's assuming there are headers, so it simply says sum if B is to be Spain and then do the cost of that column, right? So if I can copy this code, come here and paste, that's a double equal to, let me just remove that. You see we get 1747, which is kind of the cost for Spain. Okay, so if you're not aware of the formula also, you can use ChatGPT. Please remember that, give the right prompts and you will learn the formulas. Okay, I hope you enjoyed the video. I'll see you again in another project. If you like the video, subscribe to the channel, follow us for more videos. There are more topic related videos like this with projects on SQL, Python coming up. Stay tuned. Spreadsheets are a great tool to start with. However, not always you get data in spreadsheets. Especially if the data is very large, it becomes prudent to understand how to write queries and get data from databases. In this coming project, we are going to use Google BigQuery to write SQL queries and analyze information on my own expenses data from 2023. This expenses data has detailed breakdown of expenses across various categories. We are going to write simple and also intermediate and advanced SQL queries using Google BigQuery to drive insights. So once again, welcome to this practical project. We are going to use real data to understand and learn SQL, write queries and make insights. And we're going to use Google BigQuery. Okay. So I have some data here. For example, there's the date, the company basically where this expense was done. There is something called category ID. We'll learn about this further. And what was the cost, right? Like what was the amount spent? So there's a separate table called category ID and category. So you have category ID and the category. So for example, 1 is rent, 5 is recharge, 8 is shopping, and so on. Now we're going to try and answer questions by uploading this data to Google BigQuery. We are going to answer a lot of questions. Okay. So what is the first step? We can go and put this URL. I'll put it in our description as well. And you'll land in a place like Google BigQuery. Okay. Now you can say create project as a first step. Give it a name BigQuery analysis. Right. You can give whatever name you want. I'm going to say create. Okay. That's the step number 1. It will take some time to create a project. Okay. And this is where we can actually upload our data and start writing queries. So now it's loaded. So over here I can go and say create dataset. So dataset, let me say expenses. Okay, I can give it any name I want. Rest you can leave it as such and just say create dataset. Okay, so now I have a dataset called expense. In this I can upload tables. Okay, so how are we going to upload tables? So I'm going to go and download this as a CSV file. Okay, so I've downloaded that. Same way I will download category also as a CSV file. Now I have downloaded both. So I can go here and say first of all create table. So I want to upload a table. So I'll select upload. So as a first step I'll select the data table. Okay, and I can give it a name data. Over here I will say auto detect and create table. Right, so first I'm uploading the data table. So now we have the data table loaded. You can go to 3D buttons and click on query and you can select everything from the table, right? I will just remove this limit. So if we select everything from the table, you get the data now. Okay, so basically here what you have is BigQuery analysis 412600. That's the name of the project. Expenses is the name of your data set and data is the name of your table. Okay, you can also go here and click on open to understand the data types. Like there is date column, which is date, company is a string, category ID is an integer, cost is an integer. Okay, same way I want to upload the other table, which is category. So I will again say create table. I will say upload and I want to browse my computer to upload. So I'm going to come and say category and give it a name category itself, right? So it's easy to understand. Auto detect and create table. Okay, again it might take a few seconds and it will finish loading. So now I also have the category table. So if I say query and I select star, I'll be able to see the category table, right? So as you notice, category table has category ID. The data table also has category ID. This is the common column between the two. Okay. Now we have both the data sets ready and the tables ready. So let's start writing our queries and answering questions. First question, find the unique categories in the data table. Okay. So I'm going to go here. So how do you do unique categories? I can say distinct category ID, right? As simple as that. And then I just run the query. So of course there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 in the data table. Okay, so I'm going to copy the query and I'm going to save it here. Okay, that's the query. So next one, show the purchase which had the highest cost. Okay, so let me go back to this table and select everything. So the purchase which had the highest cost. So basically we want to find the maximum, right? So I can simply say maximum of cost, right? This is a very simple formula to get started. These are more like warm-up questions. So we get 630, right? So that is the answer. So I'm just going to copy this and come here and paste the query. Okay, write a query to show only first 20 rows of data. So what is the logic we need to use? So if you say select everything, you'll obviously get all the rows, right? So if you have to select only the first 20 rows of data, what can we do? You can simply write the statement called limit. Okay, so you can say limit 20. When you write that, it's going to show only 20 rows. Yeah, as you see here, now we are only able to see 20 rows. Okay, so I'm going to save this query as well. So these are all pretty quick. Yeah, like if it's multiple lines, it's coming here. So maybe I'll remove it from here, and yeah, I can paste it here. Okay, so this is question number 3. Okay, maybe I'll just create question numbers. Okay, so 1 2 3 and so on. Then you can just do like this. So this was question number 3, right? Now let's move to the next question. Show the unique company names where money has been spent. So I go back here and I say select everything. So unique company names where money has been spent. So I can simply say distinct company, right? It's very similar to one of the previous questions we just solved. So you see the company names. Like there are like a lot, like close to 21 company names. These are the unique names where money has been spent. Okay. So I'm going to come back here and I'm going to say question 4 and paste my query. Okay. Let me go back to the questions. Next question. How many unique days has money been spent in each month? So in each month, how many unique days, right? So for that, first we need to also find the month. So how can we do this question? So let me say select everything from the table, right? So now I have a lot of dates like Jan, Feb, March, April, and so on. 2023. That's I think even May and June. So what can we do for month? We can try to use a formula called extract of month from date. Okay, so if I run this query, let's see what we get. We're able to get the months, right? 1 2 3 4 5 6. The question here is unique days money has been spent in each month. Okay, so I can select the month and unique days. What can we do for unique days? You can do a count of distinct date, right? And then you can do that and then group by this extract of month from date itself, right? So that will give for each month the unique number of days. Let us now run the query, right? So as you notice in month 1, which is January, 13 unique days, some kind of purchase was done. In month 2, February, it was 18 and so on. Okay, so the highest seems to be in March when there was something spent on 21 unique days, right? That's why we are doing count of distinct date. So this is going to be question number 5. So I'm going to paste the query. Okay, let's move to question number 6. For the above question, do the same, just show it in descending order, right? So what is the difference here? The same thing I want to show in descending order of this count distinct date. So I can simply say order by count of distinct date and then say descending. Okay, so now we will see the month of March, which had the highest number of unique days on top, right? Now this is in descending order. So I'm going to copy this and this is going to be question number 6, right? Almost same, we are just also doing some kind of sorting. Okay, that's question number 6, and anyways I'll put this in our description, the solution also, so you can use it later. Let's move to the next question. Show only data of category ID 3, 4. Okay, this is question number 7. So again I'm going to just delete all this and I'm going to say select star. Okay, category ID 3, 4, only that. So what we can do, it's a very simple thing. So you can say where category ID in 3 comma 4, right? You need to use the in statement. So this will only show all the data, all the expenses of these these two categories, 3 and 4, as you see, right? If you see a lot of 4, category 3 is very minimal, I think just once. So that's the answer. Okay, this is question number 7. So I'm going to paste the query here. Okay, let's move to the next question. Question number 8. What is the highest category ID of expense in March? Right? So we also want to filter for the month here. Let's go here. Highest category ID of expense in March. Okay. So first of all, what we can do, we can say where extract of month from date is equal to 3. Okay, because we want for March category ID with the highest expense. So what we can do, we can write category ID. We can do the sum of cost, right? The total cost. And then we want to group by category ID, right? And not only that, they want the highest, right? So I can also do order by sum of cost descending, right? Very similar to the previous question. So what I'm doing here is I'm just filtering for month number 3, which is March. For each category ID, the total cost, and then grouping by category ID, obviously, and then also ordering by sum of cost descending so that we can see the highest on top. Okay, so now let me run this query, and we can see category ID 1 had the highest expense. It was 630. We don't know what this is, we'll see it later, but category ID 1 had 630 euro worth expenses. So I'm going to copy this query. So this is question number 8. Okay, so we're done with question 8. Let's move to the next question, question 9. Which store, I think by store they mean the company, had the highest expense in May? Okay, so now it's May, so I'm just going to change this. Sum of cost is the same. So when they mean store, it means company. So I'm going to select company and then group by company, right? And order by sum of cost descending because I want to see the highest. And this is for the month of May. So let me run this. Now I notice, okay, Prima again, right? Like this is the rent that I spend usually every month. So Prima has the highest. The next one is Reve, which is a kind of supermarket. Okay, so this is how you can do this question. Month number 5 May, which company or store had the highest expense? So I'm going to copy this again. This is question number 9, right? So we'll keep moving. Next is question number 10. Question number 10. Which category had the lowest total number in February, right? Lowest total number. I think they mean lowest total cost for February. Which category? Okay. So now there is a small twist. So here, right, in the data table, if you notice, if I say select everything, just going to close this and say star. So if you notice here, I have only category ID. I don't have the name of the category. Category comes from this table, right? So if I click on this table, there's category ID and category, right? So we can try to join on category ID between the two tables. And we need to find for February. Okay, so what can we do here? So I will take from this table, data table, I will call it as A, and I want to join this with basically the other table. So the other table name is also the same almost, so I can copy like this, and instead of data, the table's name is category, right? I'm going to substitute it like that and say as B, right? So we are going to try and do a join. And what is the common connection? Both have category ID, right? So I'm going to say A dot category ID equal to B dot category ID, right? And now from the second table, I can select the category, and from the first table, I can select the total cost. Okay, I can do this, and then I group by B dot category. And what else for February, right? So I need to also do one where condition. So where extract of month from date, right? That filter is equal to 2, right? 2 means February. So let's run this and see. It will be again rent only. Rent is highest usually, but then next one we see it is grocery, right? 276, which makes sense. The rent, grocery is usually my highest expense. So some restaurant and other things we can see as well. Okay, so this is how you can join on a common column, put a filter, and also group by to see the cost, right? All right, so I'm going to just copy this. This is question number 10, right? So I'm going to paste it here, and let's continue. Question number 11. Show the data only where shop name, I guess this means company name, contains the letter W. Okay, so this is just one table again. So I will say select everything from this table. Shop name, right? So where we can say company like percentage W percentage. So this means that using the like we can find whichever contain the letter or the word W. So you have for instance Reve, right, majorly, and Woolworth, right, capital W, it starts with that letter. So these are the shops, right? So I'm going to copy this and paste it here. This is question number 11. Moving on to question number 12. Find a way to get the category based on category ID. This is what I showed you just a while back. So let us say from this table I select everything. I'll say A dot star. I will call it as A. How can we join with the other table? You can simply do a join, and yeah, just copy this table name and then just replace the last part. Instead of data, it is category table. So I can do that as B, and then you can say on A dot category ID equal to B dot category ID, right? And I can say B dot star as well, right? So I'm joining both the tables. Let me see whatever is possible. So now I can see, okay, company prima category ID 1. Second table also has a category ID. So since it's a duplicate column name, it's giving underscore 1. And what is the actual name of category? So 1 is rent, 2 is grocery, and so on, right? So if I move forward, I see 6 is ticket, 7 is cosmetics, and so on, right? This is how you can join both the tables. I will just copy this. Okay, this is question number 12. Okay, let's move to next question. Question number 13. Is there any category ID not present in the data table? Okay, how can we do this? So first of all, let us select this table, right, category table, the original table, and let's see what is there. So over here I see 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10, right? So 10 unique category IDs. But if I were to see the original table, the other one, data table, and say from that table distinct category ID, so I see 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9, right? So that means category ID 10 is actually missing from data table. But how can we show this, right? Is there a way to show this by comparing the two tables, right? So what we can do here, so we can select distinct category ID. This is obviously an option, and then manually compare. But other than that, what we can do, we can make our category table like primary, like this, as A this time. Okay, and then I'm going to join this with data table as B. Okay, so far so good. On A dot category ID equal to B dot category ID, right? This is very simple. So again, I can select everything from both tables for sake of simplicity, and then here you have to write a join, but I'm going to do a left join, right? So what left join will do is it will show all the category IDs from the category table. If there is a match in data table, it will show the match. Otherwise, it will show null. Okay, so if I do like this, let's see what happens. We get 115 rows. Okay, so you can scroll down, you can even make this 200. So I see all the results in one page. If you notice, I will see everything, right? All the data. But at the bottom, right, category ID 10 is not there in the data table, so you get everything is null, right? So how can we now spot only the ones which are null? You can say where b dot, let's say date is null, right? Any column which is null, you can just pick that, because when there is a match, obviously there will be a date in the data table, then we see this, right? Then we see this category ID. This is the one that is there in the category table, but it is not there in the data table, right? So there has not been any expense related to this category others. So I'm going to copy this. This is, I think, question number 13. Okay, again a simple use of left join. Now let's move to question number 14. Show categories with expense more than 150 for the month of April, right? So again, let us delete this. So this time I will make our data table as primary as usual. I will make our category table as secondary. Okay, and I just want to do a normal join, right? Wherever there are matches. So that is all fine. On will still remain the same. Now from the first table, again I want to know the category, right? And what do we want? Expenses. So I'll say category actually comes from the second table, right? B table. So I'll do b dot category. And from the first table, I want to do cost. So I will say sum of a dot cost. Is there any other filter? Month of April, right? Note that down. So where extract of month from date, right? So April is the fourth month, so we can say is equal to 4. Then group by b dot category, right? This is step number 1. Now let us see what we get. So we get a lot of expense. Okay, and now they want to show only those with more than 150. Okay, so what can we do here? We can simply say having, right? On an aggregated calculated column, we can put a filter like using having sum of a dot cost greater than 150. Now we'll see only those categories. It's going to be rent and grocery. The rest are below 150, right? Nice use of the having clause. This is question number 14. Okay. So let us move to question number 15. They're asking any patterns in ticket expenses over time, right? So what do they mean? Let us combine both these tables together, right? And I'm going to say a dot star comma b dot star, right? So let's see what we get. So there is a category. Let's see if there's a category like ticket. So I'll say where category equal to ticket. Okay, not sure if there is something like that, but let's see. Okay, so there is no data. Maybe it's capital T. Let's try like that. And you see DB is Deutsche Bahn company where I spend for tickets. Yes, there are ticket columns. They're asking any patterns. Okay, so maybe what we can do now, we can try and do it like per month, right? So I'll say as usual, maybe I'll extract the month, right? So I'll say extract of month from date, which we usually do, and patterns. So I'll try to put sum of cost itself, right? And here it should be b dot category equal to ticket, and now group by basically this extract of month from date. So I'm going to copy that. I'm going to paste it here. Okay. If you notice here, just by looking at it, there's a lot of 33s, but then there's a 98 as well. So let's see what has happened. Okay, so January was 33, Feb was 33. For some reason in March there has been a lot of expenses. It's become 99. April is 66. Then from May, basically this Deutschland ticket started. So me and my wife each took for 49 euro. So it became standardized. Okay. So for some reason March there have been a lot of trips, so it has increased, right? So that is the trend in terms of tickets. So I'm going to copy this. This is question number 15. Okay, I'm saving all the queries so you'll have access. Next, which restaurant has received the maximum orders based on days, right? So that means like which restaurant has received the orders on the unique number of days, right? That's what it means actually. So restaurant obviously is a category, so I'll put restaurant. Okay, and here the company, right? Company is where the name of the restaurant or the name of the shop is there. So I will say company. And the question is maximum orders based on number of days. So we want to count the unique days, which we kind of did a little bit earlier. So count of distinct date, right, for the restaurant category. So first let's run that and see. So many restaurants are there, right? Sarano Bhavan is there, kebab shop is there. So Panda seems to be the highest. We could also simply say order by count of distinct date descending, right? So Pandas is a restaurant where we buy momos. That has been the most prominent in the 6 months, been there 9 times, right? That's the highest. So another interesting use case of count distinct order by alongside group by. Okay, so this was question number 16. So I'm going to paste the query. Let's move further. 17th question. Calculate average spend per day for restaurants. Okay, average spend per day. That means you have to find the total cost and divide it by the number of unique days you've been to the restaurant, right? This is one way of doing it. So the cost is what? Sum of cost divided by count of unique days, right? This will kind of, you could also do count of date. This is also another option, right? Assume that maybe on the same day you've been to two restaurants, then this number can change. So anyways, let us do both the calculations and see what is coming. So basically average spend per day for restaurants. So I'm going to do with unique days. So it shows on average when we go to a restaurant we spend around 15, right, based on unique days. If I change this to days, right, let's see what happens. Yeah, slightly lesser, 14.5, but still it's 14 to 15 euro on every visit on average to a restaurant. Okay, so that's what happens. So I'm going to save this question number 17, right? That's basically that 14 to 15 euro is the amount we spend on average when we go to a restaurant, right? Some may be lower, some may be higher. We are not sure about that, but basically that is the overall average. Which day of week saw the highest spend in me, right? So we need to know the function for day of week. Is it there? Maybe we can also check with ChatGPT. Highest spend for the month of May. So remember, it's for the month of May. So this is question number 18, right? Which day of week? So here we don't even need the category table. So I'm going to remove that. So I have date, right? So we have this function called format date, and you can say like percentage W. So if you're not sure, we can go and ask ChatGPT as well, right? So always ChatGPT is there to help. So group by weekday or day of week in Google BigQuery and find total cost. Please tell me formula, something like that. You can type something like this, should give, and it's going to give you a general example. It's giving sales date and it's saying format date. Okay, percentage A, right? That seems to be useful, so we will just copy that. So as you see, Sunday is 1, Saturday is 7, right? So let's go and try that. Here we have date. The question is highest spend in May. Okay, so we still need to keep that in mind. So I'll say sum of cost, okay, that is obviously there, and then group by this. So this step is covered, but before that it is May. So I have to say where extract of month from date is like it's month number 5, so I have to put 5, right? Let's run this and see. So as you see, we already get the day, so we get different ones. So it looks like Tuesday is the highest, right? And this is all categories put together. It looks like Tuesday is the highest. Obviously this is 734. That is because maybe on that day I paid the rent, right? Rent itself is 630. That is the reason, right? that becomes a big number. But other than that, you see Wednesday is also quite high, right, for the month of May. So I'm going to copy this. This is question number 18. Okay, I'm going to leave it here. Let's move to the next question. Question number 19. Calculate total cost for grocery per month and show month in year and month format, right? Separated by hyphen. So total cost for grocery per month. So let's go back here and let's do the join again, right? Because we need to identify this particular category called as grocery. So for that we need to join back with the category table. So I'm going to again write category. That is step number 1. And what is the common column? On a dot category id. So we are just going to repeat the same thing again. This is done. Now where clause we have to put where this b dot category should be equal to grocery, right? It's G with the capital, and I think the spelling here is wrong. Okay, and now we want to find total cost per month and show the month in year and month format. So for that, what we can do, like percentage A, you also have percentage Y, percentage M, right? This will show in year month format total cost. Okay, I think that is pretty much it. And I can also do a group by, right? And what do I want to group by? I want to group by this year month. So I guess this should be it. Let's run. The question is total cost of grocery per month. So for example, January is 210, May is 183, Feb is 276, March is 178, April is 174, and so on, right? June is also pretty less. And what else have they asked? They just asked to calculate that. So I'm just going to copy this, right? I'm going to put it here as question number 19. Okay, let's move further. Question number 20. Calculate total spend for shops starting with capital letter R. Okay, I think they want, like, for example, stuff like Reve. So I'm going to just say sum of cost from the original table. I don't want to join. And the column name is company. So I'll say where company like R percentage, right? So that starts with the letter A. So it'll give us the value 859. So if I want to see what are the companies, you can also do a group by. So you can just do like this and then say group by company. I'm not sure if there is anything else. Anyways, let's see. Right, there's Reve and Rossman, right? That's pretty much it. So I'm going to just copy this. This is simple. Question number 20. Right, so we are kind of getting closer to the end. Let's continue. 21. How many unique companies exist in the shopping category, right? So again, we have to go back to the join, right? So maybe I'm going to come here and pick this up, right? I'm going to put it back here. So the question goes like this: unique companies that exist in the shopping category. Okay, so we can say where b dot category, right, equal to shopping. So I will just say select star, right? First let's see if there is something like this. Actually, for spelling is right for shopping. Yeah, we have, for instance, Teddy, Amazon, and Woolworth. I think that is pretty much it. Anyway, I will say distinct company. That will give us the distinct values. So Teddy, Amazon, Woolworth, right? Only 3 companies are unique that exist in the shopping category. Okay, that was question number, if I remember right, 21. Okay, move to question number 22. What is the spending pattern at Reve month-wise and any insights? Okay, so we can go back and pick this question up, right? I'm going to copy this. So Reve and month-wise, right? So I don't really need the join here. I think we just need the original table. So I want by month, so I'll put company, comma, per month, total cost, and then group by company as well. And can say where company equal to Reve, right? I think this should work. So the question again, let's see, it's question 22. Spending pattern at Reve month wise. Okay, so Reve January 128, February 128, right? Very standardized. March 104. So March and April 145. March has dropped a little bit, I think, right? And then yeah, it's 120 and 130. It's very stable, pretty much around the same mark as you see, more or less. So it's like 120, 130, that kind of range, right? So there's no trend, but March I can see it's 104. That was the month like I made lesser purchases because my wife had gone home. That also makes sense. It's another use case of this format date function. So this is question number 22. So I'm going to paste. Okay. So we have, I think, about 12 more question. Any trend with respect to eating at Domino's? Okay. So same thing here. The company name will become, if we see the original data, right, it will become Domino's. Okay. So where you just remove this and say Domino's. Okay. Any trends? So I'll just see month wise. 1722, it's standardized. I think in March I've ordered a lot more. I didn't cook much. So March it has been a lot, 49. Otherwise it's 17, 14, 15, right? This is the standard if you order once a month. So we can also see distinct dates I have ordered in each month as well, just to see the patterns. So if you notice, yeah, most months it's one. In March alone, I've ordered 3 times with Domino's. Okay, that's the pattern. That is question number 23. I'm going to save the query. Let's move to the next question. 24. Is there any month where grocery expense is a bit different, or has it changed a little bit, right? So I think we did query similar to this, right? So I'm going to copy this. So I'm going to run this again. So grocery expense. Yeah, as you see, it's kind of standardized, right? January is 210, Feb is 276. There's picked up. And then, yeah, March and April, as you see, it's below 200. So like there's been a drop. And May is again 180, right? So it looks like February had a peak, right? Like February had a lot of grocery purchases. And then June again dropped. June, we went for a trip as well. We were not there for a few days in Germany. So I guess that's why it's dropped to 156. So I can strongly see February has peaked. It's a month where we have purchased a lot of grocery, right? That was question number 24. So February had a slight jump in terms of grocery expenses. Then move to 25. Show only the company with highest spend in each category for April, right? So this is probably a question where we might need to use something like Windows functions, right? Only the company with the highest spend in each category for April. Okay. So I'm gonna. I probably don't need the category ID. I'll just remove that, the join, so I have the original table. So I probably need to find the total cost, right? So what we can do, we can do category ID. Then the company. So all this is good, and then this is only for specifically the month of April, right? So I have to say where extract of month from date is equal to 4, right? And then say group by category ID for comma company. So I could just copy this, right? So I get each month, I mean each category, company, and then this, right? Now what if I want to show only the highest, like for example category 2 is grocery, in that there is Reve, there is Interstore, right? So what if I want to show only the highest, right? Same way in 4, which looks like a restaurant, There is Panda, Jaipur, Domino's, Kebab, and Saravana Bhavan. So only the highest, right? Saravana Bhavan is the highest spending. How can I pick and show that? So this is interesting. So I'll say sum of cost as total cost, right? This is step number 1. Now I can put this whole thing into a CT, right? So with clause, so I can say with, let us say data new or something as, right? So I can do step number 1 like this. And now from this data, I can select company, comma, category ID, and then I can do a rank. Okay, so I can say rank over partition by category ID. So in each category ID, and also do a order by that total cost column descending, right, to show the one on top, and say as ranking, right? And then I say from final new, right? That is the name of the temporary class or table I have created with the width. So now I can run this. Table final new must be qualified with the data set, right? So there is some error here. It's not final new, it's data new, right? Put the wrong name. Now it should work. Okay, so now I see, okay, in category ID 4, Sarana Bhavan is 1. In category ID 5, Lebara, that is 1. In Amazon and Teddy are category 8, which is shopping, Amazon is 1. Right now I want to show only the ones that are 1. To do that, what we can do in BigQuery, we have a formula called qualify. You can say qualify ranking equal to 1. Right? This is like a var clause but meant for window functions. So if we write that, then we will see only the ones that are ranked 1 in each category. Right? So Reve is coming as the highest in grocery. Rossmann comes in cosmetics. Sarana Bhavan in restaurant. Amazon in shopping, and I think DB is the only thing in tickets. So we are getting all that, right? So this is a nice use case of the with class, normal group by, and also learning to use the window function like rank, and filtering rank or window function we can use qualify, right? So great question, this one. Question number 25, I'm going to save. Okay. Question 26, let's move on. We have, I think, few more questions. Percentage change in total cost for each month and find the month with the highest percentage change. So anytime you have percentage change year on year, it's time to use a window function like lag. Okay. So for each month, percentage change in cost, they're asking. So I'm going to start with select, and we need month, right? So we can write format date function and say percentage y, percentage m, right? That is step number 1. And we want to find the total cost, right? So I can say sum of cost and then copy this and put it in the group by. Okay, so there is no filter here, so I will remove where, and I'm just going to run this. Okay, I think there are 2 commas. I will remove the one of them. Format date, it should be for the date function, right? I mean date column, so I forgot to put that over here as well, right? So sometimes be careful, you might see errors like this, silly mistakes only, right? So I'm getting total cost all months. Okay, so this is great. So now what I can do, I can put this in a with final as in a CTE, right? That is the first step. Now I have to calculate percentage change. So now I can say select, let us say this format date, whatever is called as year month, I give it an alias name. So I can say year month total cost, and also to see the previous value I can say lag of this column, lag of total cost, then over here there is just month and year, right? So we don't really need a partition, so we can say order by this year month column, right? Ascending order, and I can call this as previous month cost, right? And say from final. Let's see what we get. So you see each month. So for example, January 1062 is total cost. Previous month is not there, it's null. February total cost 1166. Previous month value was 1062, we get that. And here it's not in order, but for example, March 1071, previous month cost is February, that's 1166, and we are getting that here, right? So this is like we are getting them side by side. How can we now calculate percentage change? So for that, it just becomes a little more complicated. So I will put this whole thing into another CTE. So with, I will say final 2 as or something like that. Okay, close the brackets. Just drag this down, and now from this final 2 I can select year month. Then I want to do this percentage difference. So I will write total cost minus previous month cost divided by previous month cost, right? From final 2, that's the second CTE, and then I want to order by year month, right? And if I want to do percentage, I can also put this whole thing and multiply it by 100, right? Let's see what we get. Okay, so we don't really see the values. So if I want to also see the values over here, I can put those columns as well, right? So total cost, previous month cost as well, and run this. Just for you to have that appeal. So for January, there's nothing, makes sense. For February, if you see, it's basically a 9.7% increase, right, from January. So from 1062 it became 1166. Then from Feb to March it dropped again, so minus 8% decline. From here to April again it declined by about 2%. Then from here it increased by about 7%. Then from 1125 it dropped to 1084, so 3.7% drop. So the highest has been from Jan to Feb, where we saw 9.79% increase. Okay, this is how you can use multiple CTEs and also use lag to do this percentage change. Okay, interesting and slightly complicated question was question number 26. I'm going to paste the query here. Let's move to question 27. Okay, do the same as that question, but only for restaurant category. Okay, so if you have to do only for restaurant category, the query is going to remain pretty much the same, and we have to just put a filter on the restaurant category, right? So if I go here and open this table in a new tab, I see, for example, restaurant is category ID 4. So I can go back to our query, and over here I simply put where category ID equal to 4, right? So that will filter the total cost, but only for restaurant, right? Nothing else changes. So it's running. Let's see what we get. Now we see some stark differences. For example, from Feb to March, the jump is significant, 50% jump. So I told you March I didn't cook much. I used to order outside. That kind of makes sense, right? And then same way, then it drops back again in April, and then again drops, and then from May to June again there is a jump, right? So 73% jump. So it's like a lot of trends like going up, coming down, but this is what it is for this restaurant category. Q27. Okay, let's move to question 28. We are nearing the end. Find the date with highest number of unique categories where money was spent. Okay, this is a fairly simple question, so I'm going to remove everything else. Okay, delete all that is there. Find the date with the highest number of unique categories. Okay, so I'll say select date and then count of distinct category ID, right? On a particular date, what were the unique categories, and then we want to find which was the highest date in this. So I'll say group by date, order by this count distinct category ID, and say you put double O, remove that, and say descending, as simple as that. Let's see if there's a particular date. Okay, so I think 7th June there have been 3 different categories where there has been some kind of purchase, money has been spent, right? That is the day. Rest of it is 2 or 1. So 7th June is that date. So I'm going to copy this. This is question number 28. Simple question. 29. Use case statement to categorize restaurants as Indian versus non-Indian based on name and show total cost for June, right? So for June, we need to use some case statement logic. Let's go back here, right? So first of all, I will remove all this and I will say where extract of month from date equal to 6. Okay. Step number 1, let's select everything. And then for restaurant, so we also need to format it by restaurant category. So if I go here, for example, Jaipur is restaurant, so category ID should be 4, right? So I will also put that as a filter equal to 4. So let's see what has been the restaurant expenses. So you see a lot, right? So in this, we have to tactically separate Indian, non-Indian. So the only Indian is Jaipur, the rest are all non-Indian, right? So I will simply say case when company equal to Jaipur, pretty simple. Then Indian, else non-Indian, okay? End as restaurant type. You can give it a name. Then use sum of cost. That's it. Right? So I'm splitting Jaipur versus the other ones. The others are non-Indian. And now we can say group by this restaurant type, right? The column that I created. For month of June, for restaurant category, Indian versus non-Indian. Non-Indian 50, Indian 21, right? That is the split up. Right? Indian only Jaipur, non-Indian had Panda and other restaurants as well. Question number, I think this is 29. Okay, so we are getting to the end. 30, ratio of total spend for restaurants versus grocery for April. Okay, so April, so first thing I will do is I'll put this is 4. Can remove this. So let us go back to the category table. And so restaurant is 4, grocery is 2, right? Category ID. So let's note that down. So we want to do that total cost only, right? So I'll do, this is a use case of a sum if. So I can say ratio of restaurant versus grocery, right? Restaurant is 4, grocery is 2. That is the ID. So sum of if category ID equal to 4, right? If it is 4, then do the cost, otherwise 0. This will show the total for the restaurant. And I can simply divide this by sum of if category ID equal to 2. Whenever it is category ID 2, which is grocery, please sum the cost, otherwise 0. So if I divide both these, and I'm putting equal to 4 in the filter because it is the month of April, right? So let us see what we get. So we get 0.36, right? What does that mean? So if I put a comma and see the values, right? What is the restaurant spend? What is the category spend? For grocery. So restaurant spend is 63, grocery is 174. The ratio is about 0.36, right? So you can put divided by, and that will give you the answer. So that is question number 30. Cool. Moving on. 31, average spend per month at Interstore. Interstore looks like some grocery store. So I can come back here. I can say where company equal to, let's see if there is something called Interstore, right? So I'm gonna just say star. Yeah, Interstore is there. So average spend per month. Okay. So what can we do? We can say company, comma, let's put average cost. I think it's AVG. But we also want to do per month. So I'm going to put our format. We can even put just the month. So you can say extract of month from date if we want. and group by, we can say these two, right? So instead of writing company and extract of month from date, we can also write group by 1 comma 2, group by the first and second column. This is also possible. Then we notice, okay, it's usually 12, 15, 7. This is average of each purchase, right? So we can do that. Or to make it even more correct, we can say sum of cost divided by count of distinct date. So like cost per each unique date that we visit. If I do something like this, then you see it's around that, right? March was a bit cheap. We didn't buy much, but the rest of the months is around 12 to 15, right? So this is basically calculating total cost divided by total number of days we have been. This will give you average cost for that month. We are doing the same for all the months. That was question 31. Next one, which company in shopping category had the highest total cost? I think we did something like this already. Shopping category is what? Category ID is 8. So I can say where category ID is 8, right? That's an easy thing to do. Which company had the highest cost, right? So I can simply say company comma sum of cost. Again, I can group by 1. Group by 1 means group by the first column, which is company. So I can run this. I think there are only 2 or 3 companies. So we can see Amazon had the highest cost. Okay. You can also do an order by if you want. Question number 32. Okay. And then use union clause to show total cost for kebab shop and also Panda using 2 different queries. So let us see the distinct names of these shops. Total cost using union. So there is kebab shop, K and S are capital. And what else was there? Panda. Okay. So we can easily do this. We can say company comma sum of cost from table where company equal to, first let me put kebab shop, group by company. This is done. And then I can use union all and simply copy the same query, right? Only difference is here I will substitute it by Panda. Right? They want us to write 2 different queries. To do this, give us the total cost for kebab shop and Panda. Kebab shop 34, Panda 66. Right? Simple use of union all. Question number 33. So we are almost there. And then finally, last question, is there any fully duplicate value in the data? Right? That means every row, like every column should be the same. Is there any kind of duplicate data like that? This is a bit of a tricky question. So I can say select star from and do this, right? I will run. So for this, we need to do a check of all the columns if there is any kind of duplicate. Okay. So what we can do, I will select everything and then I will say row number, right? And then I can say over, and here we need to partition by every single column. So by date, company, category ID and cost, and say row number. Okay, alias name. Let's try to run this query, right? And we see if I select all the 200 rows, I see row number is only 1, right? That kind of means there's no duplicate. What does this mean? Suppose there was row number 2 somewhere, that means that particular set of data is repeating multiple times, right? So if row number is more than 1, that means it is potentially duplicate data, right? So we don't have that. So to check that, we can put this whole thing in a CTE. So I would say with CTE as, and then say, to check for duplicates, what we would do is we'll say select star from CTE where row number is greater than 1, right? If it shows some value, then that is a duplicate. Here it is no data. That means all our values are unique in each column, right? That means there's no 2 rows where all the values for all columns are the same, This is also very challenging and commonly asked question to find duplicates. So you can use this method. So I'm going to copy that. Question 34. Okay. So I hope you enjoyed the video. It was a long video. You can practice all these questions. We have tested a lot of concepts. I'm going to put the solutions, all the data in our description. Stay tuned for more videos. I'll see you again in another video next week. Till then, take care. Bye. Now that we have learned using Excel and also writing SQL queries, you need to understand many a times in your data analyst job, you'll be dealing with business stakeholders. They might not have the relevant technical skills. In this case, it becomes important to tell your story and drive your analysis through visual medium. So in this coming project, we are going to use Google Looker Studio to analyze my own social media data from LinkedIn, YouTube and Instagram and build basic graphs, charts and understand how you can also join data in Looker Studio and drive simple insights. So here we have some social media data. This is my actual social media data. I post across multiple platforms, Instagram, YouTube and also LinkedIn. I post regularly on all three platforms, as you may all know. So I've just taken the month of the post, the year of the post and collected the actual data, right? Views, likes and comments for each of these posts, right? And what was the title? What was the ID of each of these posts? Then there's a column called category ID. What does this even mean? There is 1, 2, 3 and so on. So for this sake, I have a second table, okay? So it says category ID and the post category, right? For example, category ID 1 is tips, 2 is projects, 5 is like some interview, 4 is more a fun post and so on, right? 3 stands for information. Now what we are going to try to do, bring these two data into Looker Studio. This used to be called Google Data Studio before, and try to build some simple graphs, simple analysis and drive insights. Okay. What we are going to do is the social media data, we are going to upload it to BigQuery. If you want to understand how exactly to do it, do check out my BigQuery video, which I posted a couple of weeks back, where I've shown end to end how to upload your data. Okay. Step number 1, we need to download this as a CSV file. Okay. The social media data, I've already downloaded it. So I'm going to go to BigQuery. Okay. I already have a project. I'm going to create a data set. Okay. I'm going to say create data set. Let's say social, right? I can give it a name and I can create the data set. Okay. That's it. Step number 1 is done. So I have a data set. Here now I can click and go and say create table. I will upload it from something that I already downloaded. So I can simply crawl down and say social media sheet 1, right? I have downloaded this data. I can call it social underscore media. Okay. This is simple step number 1. Schema, auto detect and create table. Okay. It will take a few seconds to load. Let's wait for that. And once it's done, we have the table. Okay. So if I go to query and I say select everything, let me run the data and see. And now I get the data itself, right? As you see, month, the year, views, likes, comments, everything is there. Okay. So we have now connected this data set to BigQuery. The second data set will stay as a Google Sheet. Now we are going to try to combine both within Looker Studio. Let's see how to do it. So for that, you go to lookerstudio.google.com. This used to be called Data Studio, Google Data Studio before. So I'm going to type that and this is how you land, right? You land in a home page, something like this. So I'm going to simply say blank report. Okay. When you click on blank report, basically you have multiple ways to connect, right? You might connect it to your Google Analytics data, you might connect it to your BigQuery, you might connect it to your local computer, right? Upload some file. You might also connect it to a Google Sheet, right? And there are so many other options to connect to other social media platform. So today we are going to start with trying to connect it to BigQuery, okay? Because I have that table in BigQuery, right? So I go here and I know this is my project. In this social is the data set I created and I click on social media, okay? So I can connect to the table inside BigQuery like this. So I can simply say add, right? It will take some time to load. And then simply say add to report. Okay. Step number 1, as you see, we have all the values, right? So if I pull, for example, the total views and see it across 3 platforms. So Instagram had 757 lakh, right? Like 757,100, right? Basically 757,100 or 7,57,100, right? Depending on the notation you use. So we have the data like this. Okay. This is a nice and easy step number 1. Now let us go and see some questions, right? So step number 1 is they are saying import data from BigQuery. We have already done that, right? Now we will try to connect the Google Sheet, right, with this. Before that, let's see this one, right? They say write a case statement to categorize fun and tips content as one category, other as a separate category, right? So if I go here, I see fun is ID number 4 and tips is ID number 1, right? So whenever it's tips or fun, I want to put it as one category. How can we do this in Looker Studio? So first of all, before that, I'll come and give this a name, social media report. Okay, I can click social media report, give it a name like this. Then I can go to resource, manage added data sources, right, and click on edit. Right now I can add a new field, okay, calculated field. And then what else can I do? I can say, for example, category new, right? I can give it any name I want. So the idea here is, so I can use a case statement very similar to SQL. So case when category ID, right? That is the column, right? When this is 1 or 4, right? That's what we said. Then we can call it, let's say, fun tips, right? Otherwise, we can call it other, right? So we're splitting like this, and we can say end. Okay, in SQL we'll say end as. Here we can simply say end, right? As you see, the formula is correct. I can simply go and save, right? And I can click on done, right? So we have now created a new column called category new, which is appearing here, right? So if I want to see category new, for instance, as you see, most of it is in other category, right? So fun and tips, I have not created as much content, so the views is only half, right? This is just giving us a general idea, but you now learned how to create a case statement in Looker Studio. As you see, it was very similar to how we do it in SQL. Okay, so first step is done. Now let us come back to the previous question, which is like also connect to the Google Sheet data and see how can we merge them or combine them together. Okay, so to do this, first of all, I'm going to say go to resource, manage add a data source, and I'm going to add a new data source, right? And this time it's going to come from Google Sheets, right? And what is it? Basically this category ID post, right? That sheet. So I'm going to just select that, and that's it, right? You can simply go and add, right? This way now we are connecting it to a second data source as well, right? So we have now social media as well as this category ID post Google Sheet data. Okay, now we have an option to blend or merge or combine the data. So now let us try and do that. Okay, so I'm going to say blend data. Okay, now what do I want to blend? So I want to join social media table. From here I want everything, right? So I will select category ID, category news already there. I want to see the month, of course the platform, the year, and the title as well, right? I'm just going to pull all of them into dimensions. And in metrics I want to see the views. What else? I want to see the likes, I want to see the comments. I guess that's pretty much it, right? From social media table I'm pulling all the things for this blending or merging process. Join with another table from this one, category ID post. I want the category ID obviously, and I also want the post category, right? That gives us the name. Now that I have pulled both, right? I pulled everything from here and both the columns from the other table. We can configure the join. We can say select inner join, right? As you see, category ID table is common in both, so it will join based on that, similar to the SQL principles. So I'm simply going to save, right? And it will be named as blended data one. Name doesn't matter. So I'm going to simply save. Okay. So as you see, blended data has come now. So now I have category ID and category new as well, right? Apart from that, the name of the post category, right? So if I pull post category here, as you see in other itself, we have information, we have projects, we also have interview. In fun tips, we have fun and tips, right? Now they're showing separately. So we have been able to blend or merge the data, similar to join in SQL, right? So we have done this. This is cool. We also have all the metrics here and the category ID, right? If I want to see the category ID as well, I can pull that in. So for instance, information is category ID 3, tips is category ID 1, and so on, right? Now we have all the information set up. We have also done the merging, right? Now let us go back to the questions. So case statement is done. So they are asking to observe trends in platforms and also categories, right? Now let us do step by step. So we will make sure we don't overpopulate too many graphs, too many tables in one sheet. So this is the first page, right? So over here, let me do something very, very simple. So I'm going to just remove this, right? I'm going to cut this out, right? And I'm going to click on blended data. And let us say I want to insert a simple scorecard. Scorecard will have simple values like this, right? So first of all, what do I want to see here? Let us say I want to see the total likes, right? I'll drag that in. Okay. So the total likes that I've received, right, across all these platforms is 25,338. So I can copy and paste. So I can get a duplicate like this as well. And now let me just put the total views. Okay. So total views is more than 1,000,000, right? As you see across all the platforms put together. And then I can again just copy and paste, right? So I can replicate as well. And this time, let us say I want to put total comments. Okay. Honestly, we don't get many comments. So total comments is less than 500. So we have these three, right? Now this is like just simple top level metrics that we are seeing, right? Before that, if you want, you can also go and add a text box on top, right? I can place it wherever I want. Maybe I'll just bring these down a little bit. I think it just got stuck. So let me just drag this down a bit. Also drag this down a little bit. And I can say insert text, right? I can place a text box here, right? I can say important overall information, right? I can give whatever name I want, right? You can play around with the formatting and stuff, right? So as you see, you can make it bold, right? By selecting the text, we can make it bold. If you want, you can underline it and so on, right? You can play around with all that. I'm just going to drag this, make it a little bigger, right? Let's make the size even bigger. Maybe I can select the whole thing and make it 20px. Okay, so it became a little bit bigger. If we want to give it a color for the background or filling also, we can do stuff like that. Okay, if I want some background, I can also do like this, right? So yeah, I'm going to just remove this other one. So this is like important overall information. So I have likes, I have views, and I also have comments. Okay, you can shade it with whatever color you want, but this is just giving simple important overall information. Okay, now let's say add new page. Okay, so I'm creating a new page. So I've created a new page here. Let us say I want to add something important, right? So I can simply say table. Okay, I'm going to insert a table. Let's say I want to see by platform, right? So I want to bring platform to dimensions, the total views, the total likes and total comments. So I'm going to drag total views here, total likes as well, and total comments. Okay, the three main metrics for all the platforms. This is across the complete time period. Okay, so as you notice, Instagram is on top, right? In terms of views, YouTube views overall is not that much. Same trend with the likes, but if you see, YouTube is getting more comments than Instagram. So Instagram doesn't get as many comments, right? Although the views is high, likes is high. Can we show this visually? Is it possible? So yes, we can try to do it. Let's say we want to show different colors for views. I can go to style, right? And I can scroll down. So now we have three metrics, right? Views, likes, and comments. So for metric one, let us say I want to show something different. Can click heat map, right? When I say heat map, you see Instagram is the highest. It will show darker blue color, right? LinkedIn is slightly lighter blue. The YouTube with less views is very light blue, right? For instance, for the second metric, for likes, I can show like a bar, right? It shows Instagram has more likes. And if I click on show number, then it will also show the values, right? You can depict like a bar. Same way for comments, right? You can come to metric 3 and select whatever you want, right? I can say again heat map. It will show a different color, right? You can play around with the color, but this shows that LinkedIn received much more comments than the other two, right? So simple trend we can see. So it looks like Instagram performed well on the views and the likes, but in terms of comments, LinkedIn is the best, right? So this is what we get just at overall picture level. Now if you want, you can also add a filter, right? So you can say insert a drop down list, and over here, for example, I can put month as a filter, right? I can bring that here. Now I can see per month, right? Let's say I want to see only for November. Can select November and see the trend, right? So even there you see Instagram is dominating in views. YouTube had a lot of comments, right? So I can select multiple months or just select one month, for example December, or I could select everything, right? So I could play around and see the overall trend, right? So I put month as a filter, right? So this is indicating me that yes, Instagram is doing well in views and likes, whereas LinkedIn is doing well in comments, right? This is a simple thing we can play around. This is in terms of the platform, right? So this information is basically about platform. Now let us say I go to page and click on current page settings. So we get something like this. So we can go to style, and you want to change the size and all, you can play around as well, right? I can go to view mode, right? So if I go to view mode, for example, what will I get? I can play around, right? Your stakeholder can go and select a particular month and they will see only that, right? For example, there is no August data here for LinkedIn, I guess, in this. So only Instagram and YouTube are showing, right? So I can select everything if I want. If I come back to edit mode, I get the access to edit the report, right? So this is by platform. Now let us move to something further. Let us say I add another new page, right? This time let us say I want to add some more calculations, right? So what I can do this time, let me again add a table, okay? So this time let's say I want to see by category, right? So I have post category, so I can select that, right? By category, how things are going, right? So I don't need the month, so I can just again pull likes, then comments and views, right? Same. So I can just reorder them so that first is views, then it's likes, and then it's comments, right? So now I see the values. As you see across these 5, I can apply the same logic, right? I can simply come to the style section, and for the first metrics, let's say I want to show heat map, and second metric also I want to show heat map, okay? I can select heat map, as simple as that. And then third metric, let's say I again select heat map, okay? It's going to show different colors, but now as you see here, in terms of post category, it looks like informative posts are doing really well overall, right? Tips is also doing reasonably well. The others, there's not a lot of views. Maybe there's not a lot of content. This could also be the case. Same way, information and tips are getting a lot of likes as well, and very good amount of comments, right? In fact, projects and interview did not get as many comments. Maybe it's because number of project videos are also lesser, right? This is also something you need to look into, but at least you can see what kind of posts are getting views, likes, interactions and stuff like that. On top of this, right, I can drag this down a little bit and I can say insert. Same way, right? I can insert a filter, and what filter can I put in here, right? I can put in, for instance, platform itself, right? And see in each platform, is there a different trend, right? So let us say I want to see only Instagram. In Instagram, what is happening? As you see, I have not really posted all types of content here, right? There's just information, tips, projects and fun. There's no interview post here, and you can see the trend, right? Again, information is doing pretty well, tips is doing well as well, right? Now if I go to LinkedIn, let's see how it's different. Here there's a little bit about projects, but again it's predominantly informations and tips, and they are doing pretty well as well, right? And finally, going to YouTube, there's also projects, but again information and tips are predominantly dominating, right, in terms of comments, likes and views, right? So this way you can put a filter for a platform and see in each platform which post category is doing well in terms of overall numbers, right? Now let me go and add another page. So I'm going to simply say page and add a new page, okay? Now what I want to actually do, I want to this time insert a table again, right? But this time the purpose is going to be a little bit different, right? So what do I want to do here is, instead of just pulling likes, comments, views, just like that, I want to also do some calculation. For example, what is the ratio of likes to the views? What is the ratio of comments to the likes, right? or what is the ratio of comments to the overall views, right? If we get some kind of trends here. So for this, what can we do? Let's say I want to see it by platform. I can drag platform to dimensions, right? That's step number 1. Now I can do some calculations, right? So yeah, I already have a metric here. If I want, I can add a new metric. Okay. How do we do that? You can say add metric and say add field. Okay. Now let us say the first one I want to do is the ratio of likes to the views. I can type it like that. I can come here and write a formula, right? I can say sum of likes, right? Total likes divided by the total views, right? You get a formula like this, and let's say I want it decimal with 2 percentage points. Can select like this and say apply. Okay. So this is how I get the likes to views ratio, right? I can make this a little bit smaller if I want and drag this a little bigger. So likes to views I am getting, right? This is one calculation I am doing already. I can also add another calculation if I want, right? I can simply go here and I can say add field. This time I want to do comments to likes, right? This is another interesting ratio. Let me again say percentage, but 2 decimal points. So this time it's going to be sum of comments, right, divided by the total number of likes. Right, that's it. I'm going to apply this, right? So this is the second calculation I'm doing. This will be a very small number, as you see. Comments to likes, right? These are all below 1%, but still it's fine to show them, right? There's likes to views and there's also comments to likes, right? If we want, we can add a third trick as well. I'm going to go here and add this. So this is nothing but comments I'm getting to the overall views, right? This might be a very minuscule number, but anyway, let me just add it, right? I'm going to say percentage 2. Let's say if this calculation even shows some insight. So I'm going to say sum of comments, but this time I'm going to divide by sum of views, right? It's a very minuscule, very small number that we are going to get. As you see, 0.01, 0.00, right? Doesn't really make a lot of sense. So for instance, maybe I can just remove it, right? I was just testing it, but it's not really making much sense. Very, very small numbers. So I'm just going to keep the other two. Okay, I'm going to remove comments to views. Now with this, what else can we do? We could, for example, bring in post category, right? Can bring in post category. So we see values across the board, right? So and I can drag this to see everything at one place. And now we can also do and execute our heat map thing, right? To change the colors and stuff like that. So for example, I could come here and for the first metric, I want to see heat map, right? So we get a distribution, and then for the second metric also, let's say I want to see heat map, right? You can play around. So now what we notice, right? The dark blue ones, right? For example, YouTube tips is having a very solid likes to views ratio, right? It's not very high, but it's 0.05%. Same with Instagram tips as well, right? Looks like tips is doing fine, whereas LinkedIn tips is not working, right? It's 0.01%. Same way, YouTube information is having 0.05. YouTube fun content is also having 0.04, right? And if you notice here, generally in LinkedIn, right, the likes to view ratio is very low, right? Whether it's tips, projects, or information. So that is one thing we are observing. Then if you go to Instagram, if there is an information or projects content, that is also not doing that well. So in Instagram, what is primarily doing well is to give tips, right? So it looks like executing tips gives a good likes to views ratio, right? So out of people who view the video, good number of people click on the like button. And in YouTube, generally, tips, projects, and information all are working. Even fun videos are working, right? Even interviews doing quite well. 0.03% is not bad. So it looks like the likes to views ratio is pretty good in YouTube, right, as a starting point. Now looking at the other metric, which was basically the one we calculated, that is comments to likes. You see, whenever there's a project video, compared to likes, there's a lot of comments, right? And same with the interview, right? When I interviewed someone about their data analyst journey and so on, these two are working, and information video is also working fine in terms of comments to likes, 0.13. But you see, Instagram and all, this is non-existent, right? What is the reason? Like overall comments only is very low in Instagram, right? If I go back to our first page, we see it's only 490. Not only that, if you see here, right, you see the comments are very, very low. in Instagram, right, compared to the views and the likes. That is the reason why you see this value is very, very low for Instagram. At least LinkedIn is fine, 0.05%, 0.04, but it's not still high, right? YouTube is still doing well, even in comments to likes, right? So that is an interesting trend to note. So if I come back to this page, you notice that YouTube has lower views and likes, lower comments as well, but the likes to views ratios and the comments to likes ratios are good, right? So although overall numbers are not that high, but still there is reasonably good engagement compared to the views happening in YouTube. And if we want to pick up specific things, it looks like information videos are doing well in terms of likes. And when I post a project video or an interview video, the comments I get compared to the likes is really solid, right? So this is some idea I can take to further develop my content in the future, right? Very, very simple insights. So that is there. Now, if I want to go and add a new page, I can again say page and insert another page. This time, let's say I want to add some simple charts. So for example, I could select column chart, right? Column chart, I could, for example, put post category, right? That's a simple example, and see, okay, what is the trend in terms of likes and also in terms of views. Okay, so we could do simple things like this, right? So I make it bigger. As you see, fun and interview is very small numbers, right? They're kind of non-existent. And one other thing, if you notice, is there's already two sets of graphs, right? Because views is in millions, right? That is the light blue color, and this dark blue is the likes one. So as you notice, information has like a lot of likes, and then tips, and these two also get the maximum number of views, right? Fun and interview, there were not many videos, I guess, so they're kind of non-existent. So I can move this down, right, as a simple graph, and I can again insert a drop down filter, right? It's pretty simple. Here I can bring in platform as the filter. So I can select by platform and see, for example, only LinkedIn, what are the values and so on. LinkedIn, there's only 3 types of content I put, and yeah, you can play around, right? So it's good to give interactive filters. Now I'm selecting all the platforms. You can select by platform and see any sort of insight. Simple bar graph with multiple metrics that can indicate some kind of trend, right? So this is how you can create a bar graph. On top of this, you can also add some insights, right? Like, okay, if you notice information and tips is working, you can add this as a bullet point as well, right? So this way you can play around a little bit with your filters as well, right? So let's say I have this one graph. Can I do a second graph? Yes, we can, right? So there are many other options. As you see, you could, like, I mean, we already saw what's a heap map. I also showed you what is a scorecard. So you could also create a pie chart, for example, right? Simple pie chart would be to understand in terms of platforms, right, which has the highest share in terms of views, right? So I can say insert pie chart, right? I can place the second chart here. Very, very simple. And in this pie chart, what I'm going to do, I want to see by platform the trend for the overall views. Okay. So I'm pulling views in here. And here I want platform, right? I don't want the post category. Let me just drag platform here. Now you see, right? So Instagram has the lion's share in terms of the total views, almost 60%. Then LinkedIn. YouTube is a minuscule, just 1.5% in terms of views, right? That's hardly 20K views, right? This is a simple trend, right? So on top of this, you can also insert a simple heading if you want, right? So you can say insert, can come here, you can add a text if you want, right? Simple text box, right? And you can move this around and say, for example, view share by platform, right? Of course, you can do the formatting and all, right? I'm just building out the graphs and the calculations, right? You can of course format it the way you want. You can select the text, make it bigger as I've shown you in the beginning as well, right? So this is all there, right? You can give like a color as well. You can come here, select a random color, right? Let's say I select this one, so you can shade it and so on, right? You can give headings for each of these, right? You can play around with all this, right? So this is also possible. So keep this in mind, right? On top of that, what else can we do? So if I go here, like we have already done this color coding for most of it. Let's see what other features are possible, right? So if I come back here into this, I have views likes already, right? If I come back into this graph, let us say I want to add another metric. Let's say I just want to see the overall views also as a third metric. I will just drag that in, right? So this way I can see the sum of views as an extra column here, right? For this column, we can also do a few things, right? So if you go to style, right, there's a way to add conditional formatting similar to Excel, right? You can play around with this. So I can say, for example, add, right? Let's say I want to add a color, and what is the condition? Let's say if views is greater than, let's say 5000, I want to give it a specific color, right? For the entire row, I'm going to come and select the color. Let's say I'm going to select the color yellow and save, right? I did a simple conditional formatting. So wherever, as you see, it's views is more than 5000, it will shade the whole thing in yellow, right? So this is also something you can play around and do, right? If you want, you can do it. You can go back and also go to the rule and like simply delete it, right? So this is just to play around. So this is also possible. Apart from that, as you notice, if I come to another chart, like for example here, I can also go to the setup, right? There's also a way to do sorting, right? You can sort by descending and ascending. You can play around. You can also add a filter to the table, right? I'm just going to click, and what can you do? For example, you can say include or exclude, right? And over here you can like select what kind of filter you want to, impose, right? Is it for the platform title? So title, for example, only for certain type of title, right? If I come back into the data, only for resume or something like that, you can also put and play around, right? That is another possible option. So yeah, that is that. Now let's go back to the questions. So we have done calculations for total views, comments. We did some calculation. They are asking to observe trend wise for months and drive key insights, right? So we found a few things already. So one thing that we have still not done, maybe I will add this as an extra page, right, is to see by month is there any kind of trend, right? So for this, let me again go and insert a simple table, right? And I'm just going to do it by month, right? I think I have the column month already ready. So I can just select this and yeah, go to properties, right? And then I can drag the month. Okay. And month, I want to see the total views, total likes, and total comments, right? I'm just going to drag these three to see if there is a trend, right? There's like multiple months. So again, we can simply go and do heat map or bar chart, right? That's up to us. This time, just to do something different, I can go here and select bar chart and also show the value. I'm going to do the same with the other metrics as well. Right? I want to do a bar chart and show the value. Comments, I'm just going to leave them as such. So now if you notice again, November seemed to be the strongest month, right? And then of course October was also strong, right? You see the build up, right? August was only 16k views overall across platforms, September 80k, then 2,75,000 or 275,572, and then so on, right? November peaked, right? So we see a steady increase in trend in terms of views over months. So on top of this, I can also add a filter if I want for in terms of platform, right? So again, I'm not going to insert text. I'm just going to insert a drop down list. So I can come here, right? And here I can give platform as a filter, right? As simple as that. So month I don't want as a filter. So let me just cut this and just platform, right? So I can select each platform. Let's see if there were specific trends in LinkedIn. LinkedIn, there's only data for 3 months. In LinkedIn, October seems to be the strongest month, right? In YouTube, let's see. YouTube actually, August seems to be the strongest month, right? But in Instagram, as you see, from August, September, October, November, December, November, in that November seems to be the strongest, right? So there's a steady uptrend up till November. But when we select overall all the months together, then we see that there's a steady increase, right? There's August, September, October, November. December actually dropped a little bit, right? So I think that is something to keep in mind. But there's been a steady increase, right? With the drop in December, August, September, October, November showed an overall uptrend, right? So you can drive insights like this and then find which platform contributed to that increase, right? So this is how you can create a report. And basically, if you see here, you can also go and download it as a PDF if you want. You can also share it with people, right? You can share, click the share option, and then you can create, for example, a link, right? Instead of restricted, you can say public. So I'm going to share the link of the dashboard, right? And then I can copy the link, and anyone can view it, right, on the internet, right? So we can do all these kind of things as well, right? Play around. So now if I go into view mode, all the pages don't have a title yet, but as you see, we have shown a few things, right? Each page has their own unique story. So make sure each page doesn't have one table or maximum one or two charts, right? Keep that in mind. Now, one last thing to do, how can we actually give the pages some kind of names, right? This will be very relevant. So for example, I can go to manage pages, right? So if I go to first page, this is overall information. So I can give it a rename, overall info, right? I have not put a lot in this page, just overall numbers, right? Second page, this is, I think, platform wise metrics. So I can click here and rename it platform wise metrics. Okay. So I can give it a name like this. So names are getting saved. Next page, this is, I think, post category wise overall metrics again, right? So rename post category wise metrics, right? You can give some legible name, right? That should be enough. Then here it's, I think, these specific KPIs that we are calculating by platform. So like, let's say specific KPIs per platform and category, right? I can give a name like this. This is overall likes and view share, right? So I can rename this as likes and view share, and I'm considering by platform and category. So I'll say platform and category, right? Simple names. And then the last one, I think, was by month, right? Month wise performance, right? So we can easily give names like this, right? I am saving. Now if I go into view mode, I also can jump across pages, right? I can go to this page, change and play around with the filter and so on. Okay. So I hope you enjoyed the video, right? We didn't do a lot, but we learned basics of Looker Studio, how to use it, how to blend the data, bring data from Google Sheet, from BigQuery, how to create calculations, right? For example, in these sheets, as you see, I've done some calculated field, right? Like comments to likes, I showed you how to do that, how to do heat map, coloring, say a story. Keep this in mind. I hope you enjoyed the video. See you again in another video. Till then, take care. Bye. Now that we have learned Excel, SQL, and data visualization, it becomes important to learn one more tool that can help you differentiate yourself in this job market. In this era of AI, it is very important to learn Python. In this coming project, we are going to use Google Colab and write Python code to analyze my own food intake and calorie data and drive insights. We are going to use some simple functions from packages such as pandas, matplotlib, and numpy. Additionally, at the end, we will solve a few general purpose Python questions using loops, if statement, and so on. So here we have a data set. It's basically the item I had. There is a column called time ID. I'll explain what that means. Then the amount of calories of that particular food, and also the date. Right? This is some sample data from Jan 2024 of the food I actually had. Like I eat dosa, cornflakes, curd rice, potato fry, and so on. Okay. What is time ID here? So for time ID, we have a second table. So time ID 1 means breakfast, 2 is lunch, 3 is a snack, evening snack, and 4 is dinner. Okay. It's like the time when I have that food. So that is also marked, and we have data, I think, up to 15th of January, right? 1st to 15th January 2024. We're going to answer some questions based on this using Python, right? This is going to be there. Plus, we'll have some additional Python questions to solve other general concepts as well. So here we are given a list of questions. So basically, we will start doing them one by one. But before that, we also have this small clue to start with this, right? What does this mean? What to do, how to use Python, right? This is what we're going to see first. So for that, step number 1, you simply type collab.research.google.com. I will put this link in our description as well. This will take you to a place like this. So over here, you can click on new notebook, right? This is a place where you could actually write Python code and execute it, right? It will set up like this. So to begin, they just asked us to put these 2 lines of comment. I'm just going to copy, right? Let me just copy this. Okay, this one and then the second one. Okay, what does this mean is we want to be able to connect to Google Drive, right, from this, because the files, right, are in Google Drive, right? So basically these are the 2 data sets, right? If I go to my Google Drive, I've already downloaded them and uploaded them as CSVs. Okay, calories.csv and timeday.csv. They basically contain the same data, so you can upload it to your Google Drive. And then over here we are trying to connect to Google Drive. So for that we write this set of command as step number 1. Let's see what happens, right? It will take a little bit to connect, a little bit of time. Let's just wait patiently, and it will pop up like this. Give a permission to Google Drive, so we can just click on that and say continue, right? That will enable us to connect to the drive. And I think that's it, right? A few steps to start out. If it is done, it will give a green tick. That is how we know that it's working. Okay, it's still taking time. It says mounted, so that means this is worked. So we could add this plus code to keep adding more and more lines of code, right? First of all, we are going to import some packages, right, to actually perform some operations. One package is called as pandas, so we will say import pandas as pd. That will be step number 1. Now I want to read one of the data set, right? As I told you, there is calories and then there is time day CSV, 2 files. So to read the calories file, let me give it a name data. So I could use this command from pandas pd.read_csv, right? And then all I need to do is I have to copy this. Okay, and then I have to write my drive, right, because it's coming from my drive, and then the name of the file, right? This is just a syntax. So I'll say calories.csv. Okay, and now if I want to see what is there inside data, then I am able to read the file. So from our Google Drive, we have been able to bring the data into Google Colab, which is able to let us execute Python code, right? This is there. The same way I can just copy the same thing. For time data, I will just give it a different name, right? Time data. I'm going to change this to time data. Okay, and the name of the file was time_of_day.csv. Okay, it's showing some error. Let me go and check. Oh, it's time day, not time of day. So I'll remove the off. Okay, just make sure you put the correct file name, and we have that data also, right? So we are nicely set up. So data is there, which is about my food and the calories. Time data is about the time of the day, basically was it breakfast, lunch, and so on, right? And time ID is the common column between these 2 data set. Now let us jump right into the questions and start solving them one by one. Read data from the folder. This is already done. We have finished first question. Write a command to see what type of columns are present in the data. How can we do that? So for that we could simply say, so like I'll say command to see what columns are present, right? So this is a way to write comments to make it more readable. So I will say data.info, right? So in the data table we have item, time ID, calories, and the date, right? So this is how we can see. By putting info, we can see what is present in the data. Notice one thing, date new is still an object or like more like a string. It's not yet date, right? Keep that in mind. We will need to address this at some point. Okay, I'm just going to keep adding more lines of code. Show only the first 15 rows of the data. How can we do that? So first 15 rows. So for that we can simply write data.head of 15. Okay, this is like limit 15 in SQL. If you say head of 15, you'll get the first 15 rows, right? Starting from 0 all the way to 14. This is how we can see the first 15 rows of data. So that question is done. Convert the date new column to date or date time data type, right? Why are they asking us to convert it? As you notice here, it's object, right? So how can we convert? So I can come here, convert date new. I'll just give it a heading. So I can say date of date new, right? This is the column, and say data of date new, right? and I want to convert it. So I can say dot apply, and pandas has this function called to date time, right? So I want to convert it into date time. So I will do this as a first step. Okay, now that is done, if I now write data.info, let's see what we get. Now you notice date new has converted to date time type because I did the conversion here, right? So now it is no more an object. We have been able to convert it to date time. This is a simple operation, commonly asked question sometimes. Now let's move to the next question. Combine the calories and time date table, right? The two tables with the common link, right? They want us to join or merge the two tables. How can we do that? So if you notice, this is data, the other one is called as time data. Time ID is the common column. Okay, so we need to join on that. So I will say combined data, right? So I'm joining both. How can we do that? I will write data dot merge of the other table, time data, right? This is how you'll do. Now what is the common column on which we want to join? Here we have to notice one thing. For the data column, data table, the column name is time ID, T with the caps. Whereas for the time data, it's time ID but T small letter, right? So we have to mention both. So the first table or the left table is actually the data table. So I will say left underscore on, right? What is the left column that is common on which we want to join? It is this one, right? Time ID but T is caps. This is one. And from the right table, which is the time data table, what is the column? Is one I copied now, right? So it's time ID but T is small, right? This is how we can combine the two tables. Now let's just quickly see how the new table will look like. Yeah, we have time ID. So based on time ID we join. Now we are able to get the time also in the same data, right? We have breakfast or dinner or lunch, whatever. We know that this is a duplicate column, right? It is same as this. So if we want, we can remove this. How to do that? You can say combine data dot drop, right? You can write like this. And let us say I write the small t time ID. Then you can say axis equal to 1, right? This basically means drop the column. And then if I want to drop it in this existing data set itself, I can write in place equal to true, right? When I do that, this combined data table will lose that particular column as we are dropping it. So now once I write that, if I write combined data again, now you notice that other time ID column is gone, right? Now we have only 5 columns because they were duplicate. I removed the other column, right? That is how you can drop a column. So now we've been able to combine them and also drop the duplicate time ID column, right? Both these are done. Now show the data, filter the data only for breakfast, right? How can we do that? So before that, I'm just going to give a heading to this. So what did we do here is merging the two data sets and also dropping duplicate column of time ID, right? This is what we did here. So now let's move to the next one, right? So I'll keep adding more and more code. So I'm just saving it again. Okay, so I'm just saving it. Something got stuck there, it's okay. So we'll continue. Show only data for breakfast. Data for breakfast. How can we filter only for breakfast? If you notice here, breakfast is there in the time column, right? So if I want to show only data for breakfast, you can write data breakfast as a new data frame. It's basically combined data, right? But within this combined data, I want to filter for this column time, right? And it should be equal to only breakfast. So whenever this combined data of time double equal to breakfast, this is how we compare and put a filter in Python. Please show or pick up that data, right? That is going to be stored into data breakfast. Now if I read data breakfast, I will see now I get only the data where the time is breakfast. This is only purely breakfast data, right? That is how you can do this question. Show only data where it is lunch and also calories, total calories more than 250. Two conditions, right? So time has to be lunch, calories must be greater than 250. So let me put the condition lunch and calories above 250. How to put this condition? So let me say data lunch and 250 above, right? I can give any name. So I will say combined data, that is the data set again. Within that combined data, I have to introduce a filter. So what is the filter? The first filter is time has to be equal to lunch. right? That's the first rule. And also you can put an ampersand and say the other column is about calories. So I'm going to copy this, right? Column name is calories with the C, and this has to be greater than 250. That is the condition. Okay. And remember, when we give multiple conditions, we have to put each of them within a separate bracket, right? So this condition in this bracket, then an ampersand or an and then the other condition again within these normal brackets. Okay. So once I do this, now let me run and see data lunch 250 and above, what data we get. Now we only get data, as you see, of lunch and only above 250, right? So basically there's only curd rice which I eat during lunch. It's more than 380 calories, and then pizza, right? Pretty much it. And then once fried rice, which was 350, right? These are the only three items that I eat during lunch that have more than 250 calories, right? So that is how you could solve that question. Next one is group by time ID. Time ID is like by breakfast, lunch, dinner, whatever. See which had the overall highest calories intake, right? So how do we solve this question? Let me just keep adding some more code. So calories by time ID, right? So time ID column is there, but I could also do by time because time contains lunch, breakfast and all. For this, what we can do, we can simply say combine data dot group by. Here we have to do group by similar to SQL. So I want to group by time, right? And what I want to do is I want to do for calories, right? The total sum, right? So to see which is the time when I eat the most amount of food. So I can see like this. I run it, and as you see, breakfast 6650, dinner is 6175, little bit less. Snack is not every day, so it's less. Lunch is where I eat the most, right? More than 9000 calories in this 15-day time period. So lunch seems to be the highest amount of calories, the time when I eat a lot. Next one, sort the data of the given information by calories in descending order, right? So how can we do that? So this is sort by calories. This is also very straightforward question. Okay, so I can say combine data dot, there's a like order by in SQL we have sort values. So command, right? And then I can say by, what do I want to sort by? I want to sort by calories, right? Just put that column name. And what is the rule? I want to sort it in descending. So there is a function called ascending here. I mean, not a function, an argument. You can say ascending equal to false. That means you want to sort in descending order. Now let me run this. Now you see dosa is come on the top because that's the highest 400. Banana is at the bottom because that has the lowest calories. Right? So it is getting sorted in descending order of calories. The highest calories is coming on top. This is how you could do a simple sort. Okay, just let me save it one more time. And yeah, I'm going to come back here. Next two seem very straightforward. So show the unique values for the item column. How many unique dates does the data have, right? So let's see here, unique items, right? This is very straightforward. So I can say combine data of items. I think it's item, right? Not items. So item, what are the unique values? I could simply say dot unique. So you see dosa, cornflakes, bread, smoothie, poha, carrot with cheese, beans, tamarind rice chips, pizza, all this, right? All these are the unique values of items that I have eaten in these 2 weeks time frame. If I want to find unique dates, but also do a count, right? What is that? So I can simply copy the similar formula, right? So here the column name is date new. That's the only difference. But I want to count, right? So unique is similar to distinct in SQL, right? If you want to count distinct, we can write n unique. Okay, n unique is another function that will count the number of unique values. So it says 14 values. Okay, there are 14 unique dates in the given data set. That is what they wanted us to count. How many unique dates is there in the data set. Next one, they say rename the calories column to intake, right? The calories column name should change to intake, and the time column, which is this breakfast, lunch, dinner thing, to time of day. How can we rename? Okay, this is an interesting question. Rename is a function that's also sometimes asked in interviews. So first of all, what is the rename? I can like create a new map in a dictionary. Okay, first of all, what I will do, I'll write, okay, calories is there, please rename it to intake. Okay, that is what they want us to do. And the other one is there's a column called time. So you write this colon symbol and write, I want to rename that to time of day. Okay, this is what they're asking. Step number 1. Now in the original data, right, combined data, you can simply say combined data dot rename. Okay, and what is the renaming that should happen? So the columns should be changed to what is given in the map. Okay, you can say columns equal to map. What does this mean? So calories will change to intake, time will change to time of day. Now can we cross check our combined data? Let's see. Now if you notice, instead of calories we got intake, instead of time we got time of day, right? So you create a normal map using a dictionary and then use the rename function to rename the columns, right? Pretty interesting question. Then coming to next one, from 12th January to 13th January, can you show the percentage increase in total calories? Okay. Now remember, calories column has been renamed to intake. So we want to find percentage increase in intake from 12th to 13th January. How can we accomplish this? Right. So I'm going to keep adding more and more rows. So 12 to 13 Jan, percentage change in calories, right? Whether it was increase or decrease. First of all, let us see the data, right? We have combined data like this, right? Now for each day, right, we want to first do the total sum of calories, right? How can we do that? So first of all, I will say group by date new, right? I want to do for the overall day, right? Not by breakfast, dinner and all, for the overall day. So I'll do that, and then I want to do total calories. So intake is the column and do sum. Okay. So if I do like this, you will get for each day. First Jan 2024, 2150 is the overall calories. Second Jan is 2130 and so on. Right. But here, if you notice, we don't have the column name here. So if I write reset index, right, if I use this, now you'll notice we have date new and intake. Okay. This will be step number 1. Now, step number 2, what can we do? I want to compare it with the previous value, right? This is similar to lag function in SQL. So what can we do? I can write combined data of previous value, right? I can create a new column. How can we do this? I can say combined data of intake, right? And simply say dot shift of 1, right? This will basically pick up the previous value, right? And put it in a new column called combined data previous value. Maybe I shouldn't do it on the combined data. I will do it on this calculated group by, right? So what is this? Let us say aggregated data. I will write AGG data equal to this. Okay, so I'm going to run this code, and now I want to do it on the AGG data, not on the original data. So I will also convert this and change it to AGG data. Okay, just observe what happens now. What is this shift doing? Okay, so for example, first Jan intake was 2150. There is no previous day value, so obviously it is null, right? NaN is like null. Second January 2130, previous value is 2150. We are getting that here. 4th January, for example, 2055, previous day or previous value is 1750. We are getting that here. Okay. If you notice, for 11th it's 1225, but previous day is 1600. That is coming here, which is good. But previous day is 9th. Okay. So that is missing. We will still not be able to address that. Just going to pick up the immediate previous value of date. Okay. For us, we are just focused on 12 to 13. So basically from 13 and 12, how did it have changed, right? So 12th was 1475, it increased to 2100, but we want to do this calculation, right? So what can we do? I can just come here and add aggregate data and create a new column. Okay, percent change, right? I can give it a name. So this is going to be nothing but aggregate, like I'm going to put a bracket. So aggregate data of intake value, right, minus aggregate data of the previous value, right? Percentage changes the current value intake minus previous value, this overall thing divided by aggregate data of the current, the previous value. So that will show how much it has increased from the previous day or how much it has decreased, right? So something like this. I think there's an extra symbol here. This should be good. Okay, let's now see aggregate data, what value we get. Okay, So we are getting, for example, on 13th, right, from 12th, if you compare, 1475 became 2100. So that's almost a 42.37% increase. From 12th to 13th Jan, I increased my calorie intake by 42.37%. Okay, this is how you can do this question. So this is nice use case of the shift function, right? It's very similar to lag. So I'm just going to add more and more lines. Let's go back to the questions. Use some function in NumPy. NumPy is another package to create a new column which says small meal if the time of the day is snack. Otherwise, it has to say main meal, right? This is a very simple use case, right? Similar to the if function in like Excel. So I'm going to go back here. What I can do, so this is NumPy function. So I can first import the package NumPy and call it as NP. Now for this new function, I can say combine data of, let me say meals, right? New column. So what should it say is, the function is np.where, numpy.where. So basically when the time of day, right? That is the column, right? Whenever the time of the day is double equal to snack, right? I have to call it small meal. Otherwise call it big meal. Okay. This is what they want us to do. Simple calculation like if. Now if I see combine data, I'll have the new column. Okay. So breakfast is a big meal, dinner is a big meal. Wherever there is snack, right? So if I want to quickly verify this data for snack, it should show small meal, right? So wherever this time of day is equal to snack, make sure you put the spelling right. Let's see. So wherever it is snack, you see it's small meal. So our logic is working, right? Dinner, breakfast, and lunch will be big meal. Snacks is small meal. So that is how we can do. Use np.where. It comes from the NumPy package. Okay. Moving on to the next one. Rank the food. So we need to do ranking, which had the highest overall intake for breakfast, dinner, and so on, right? What does this question actually mean is, in breakfast, which was the food which had the highest total number of calories? Was it dosa? Was it bread? Same way for lunch. Was it curd rice? Was it tamarind rice? Whatever. Same way for dinner. Was it pasta or was it something else? For each time of the day, right? Breakfast, lunch, dinner, which food had the highest total calories? How can we do this? This is another interesting question. So like rank food for each time of day, right? There is a rank function similar to SQL in Python. We will try to explore that, right? So I'm going to first load the data, combine data, and what I want to do first is I will say combine data. Let us say this is ranking, right? So I'll give it a name, rank data. So I want to do combine data dot group by, right? And I want to group two things, right? So based on time of day and also the food, right? Basically the item, because I can eat the same item on multiple days. And for this, I want to do the total sum of intake, right? Let me do this. Let's see what I get. Okay. So now let me see rank data, what is there. Okay, I'm getting like this. So if I do reset index, right, I will rerun this. Let's see what we get now. Now we get three columns. So breakfast, totally bread, I have taken 1000 calories, right? So for instance, if I come to the data here, bread is 250 per day. So maybe I've taken bread 4 times, right, in this 2-week time period. And same with so on, right? Poha, total calorie intake is 400 and poha was part of breakfast, right? So in breakfast, dosa is 1600. But in dinner also, some days I've taken dosa, that is 700, right? This is how we are splitting the data. Now we want to give a rank, right, within breakfast, which is the topper, right? So if we look at the data here, can quickly see, I think it looks like cornflakes is the highest in breakfast in terms of intake. How do we give a ranking? For that, can create a column called rank and see how this logic works. So I can say rank dot group by, okay, and I want to group by time of day. Okay, so this group by is very similar to the partition by we use in rank in SQL. Time of day And what do I want to rank? I want to rank the intake. So I'll say dot rank of, and here you have multiple methods. Okay, method you see within that you have average, min, max, first, and dense. Dense is similar to dense rank. Then we have first, min, max. You can play around. For now, I'm going to just put first. Right, this is one of the methods, and then ascending or descending. Right, this is like order by. Ascending is false, right? Because I want to do it descending order of calories. Now let us see what rank data is showing, right? So group by time of day is like partition each time of day separately. Then total the intake value is already total, and find the rank, right? So within breakfast, which is the highest, within lunch, which is the highest, we will be able to find this out. Now let's run the query and see. So notice we got the rank, right? So within breakfast, rank 1 goes to cornflakes 2000, and I think the least is 7, rank 7, which is vermicelli, which is just 200. If I come to dinner, for example, the topper is milk. Like every day I have milk for sure. So that is the highest. Then when I come to lunch, curd rice is leading the way, right? More than 4000 calories, right? And in snack category, also there is milk. So I drink milk a lot, both for evening and night. So milk is the topper again, rank 1, right? So this is how you could partition by time of day and based on intake do the rank. There's also dense rank, like method equal to dense, just play around with it. But this is one way to showcase, okay, in each time of day, what was the food that had the highest amount of intake overall across this 2 week time period. Okay. Next one, a simple plotting question. Plot the time of day category and the overall calories using uh, plotting function. Okay. So for this, we can just go to ChatGPT and ask uh, plot package matplotlib how to import. Suppose you don't even know the function, for example, it should ideally give you some sort of an answer. Import matplotlib as pyplot, right? I could come here and copy that. So this is plotting. I'm going to give the name. Okay. Now what do I want to do? Each time of day total calories. So we have done this multiple times. I'll simply say plot data. This is nothing but combine data dot group by, right? I want to group by time of day. Step number 1. Calories is now called as intake dot sum, right? So if I see plot data, it will be like this. Okay. Now if I want to actually plot this, what I can do, you can see plt.bar. If I want to show a bar graph, I can say plot data dot index. Index is nothing but the time of the day, and also plot data dot values. Okay, values is the values we have. So if I run this, I'll be able to plot, right? Okay, I see breakfast, dinner, lunch is where I have the most intake, right? Simple way to plot. You can also see ways like how to add x-axis, y-axis and all, right? Try with ChatGPT. But this is a simple way to plot, right? So you import the package, do the group by, and then you say plt, which is nothing but this package, dot bar, want to plot a bar graph, plot data dot index. Index will be the time of day, values is the calculation, right? The sum of intake that we did. This is how you can do simple plotting. One more question. Write a code to find rows which contain name pasta, right? So I think there is pasta somewhere. If I scroll down, you see. So you want to see the rows where there is pasta. How can we do that? I can create a new column, combine data of, let's say, check pasta. Okay. You can give whatever name you want. So I can say combine data of this item column, right? It should contain, right? The string should contain pasta. So I'm going to say string dot find of pasta. And now if I run this, you'll see mostly -1, right? Wherever it is not found, wherever it is found, there will be some value, right? So how can we try and do that? So I'll say combine data of check pasta, right? This column, wherever it's greater than 0, right? Wherever it's not -1, let's see what we get. Okay, there's like literally no value like that, right? That's a bit weird. Let's check. Let's say not equal to -1. Okay, yeah, okay, it shows 0 here, right? So it's able to find it at the 0th place. That's why we should not put greater than 0, but should put not equal to -1, only two values. Right, I think on 2nd Jan and 7th Jan, I had dinner as pasta. Right, it was able to locate that. That is that question. Now coming to few general questions beyond the data set, a little bit about loops we will see. Write a for loop to display only multiples of 5 starting from 5 all the way to 45. Right, I want to show 5, 10, 15, 20, so on till 45. So for that, let me just add a few more lines of code. So how can we do multiples of 5? You write a simple for loop. So you can say for I in range, you can begin it at 5, take it all the way up to 45 in steps of 5. Okay, and in each of these cases you want to just print the I, right, print the value. Here you will get only till 40, right, because whatever you include here, it will check only till one number before that. So here it will go only till 44. So before 44, the closest multiple of 5 is 40. So if you want to show till 45, you can increase this by one number. Now you'll show 5, 10, 15, 20 all the way up to 45, right? So simple for loop you can use to show the multiples of 5 all the way up to 45. Same way, for loop to display squares of numbers from 1 to 9. So very simple, I can just copy the similar formula, squares of 1 to 9. Okay, so here what I have to do, I have to start with the number 1, go all the way up to number, I want to show till 9, so I will say 10, and in steps of 1, that is okay, and print the square of the number. So I will say print I into I, that will show 1, 4, 9, 16 all the way up to 81, right? I into I means I square, right? So for each number, whenever I is 1, it will show 1, y is 2, it will show 2 into 2, which is 4, and so on. Since I put 10 here, it will go all the way up to I equal to 9. When I equal to 9, it will show 9 into 9, that is 81. We get that, right? Then one more question, write a simple code to declare a variable a as 8 and write an if statement to say if the value is greater than 8 or not. So this is if statement. So they say declare a as 8, and I will write, so if a is greater than 8, then I will say print a is above 8. Okay, simple. And then I can put else condition. So else, what should I print? I will print a is not above 8. Okay, now let me execute this code, and it will say a is not above 8. As you know, a greater than 8 condition won't work, the else condition is working, right? If I put a is 6, again a is not greater than 8, so the else condition will work, a is not above 8. Okay, if I put a as 13, then if a greater than 8 condition is true, a is greater than 8, so it should show a is above 8, right? So you can play around. This is how you can write a simple if and else. Make sure this I and E are aligned in the same line. That is very, very important. Okay, one final question, declare a simple list with B with 4 values 0, 1, 2, 3. Write a for loop using try and except for running I values from 0 to 6. Whenever there is no value, print value unavailable. What does this even mean, right? Looks a bit complicated. Let's see, right? So this is a list question. So they asked us to create a list B with 4 values 0, 1, 2, and 3. Okay, step number 1. So I'm going to execute this. Okay. Now within a list, if I want to read an element, if I say B of 0, it will read the first element, that is 0. If I say B of 1, it will read the second element. What is second element? It is 1, right? If I say B of 2, it will read the third element, that is 2, right? That is how a list works, right? List index starts from 0. Now they want to show us these values and run it in a for loop for I ranging from 0 to 6. Okay, so we notice if I write B of 3, it will show the fourth value, that is 3. But if I write B of 4, it will show index error, right? Because B of 4 means the fifth value in B. B has only 4 values. There is no fifth value, so it shows index error, right? So we have to be careful. Just going to change this to something else. Now, if I write for loop, right, for I in range, they want from 0 to 6. I'm just going to put like this, right? And they want us to print the value within B, right? So I'll say print B of I. If you notice here, so when I is 0, B of 0 is 0, right? I is 1, B of 1 is 1. I is 2, B of 2 is 2. I is 3, B of 3 is 3. But when I becomes 4, B of 4 is not there. It's an index error. That is what is showing up. And they are saying use try and except statement to remove the index error and say when there is no value present, print value unavailable. How can we do this? So for this, we have to add this in a try and except statement. So first you will say try, right? Wherever there is no error, in those cases, the for loop should work, right? Make sure they are aligned. Step number one. So I'm printing B of I, right? In the cases where there is a problem, there is an index error, you can say except index error, right? Wherever there is index error, in those cases, you can simply print what they're saying, value unavailable or something like that. Okay. Now let's see what we get. Now we get value unavailable, right? So 0, 1, 2, 3 is coming, that is great. But when I becomes 4, B of 4 is not there. Since value is not there, it shows value unavailable. This is better than showing an error. So you can use try and except for these cases where there is some specific type of error like index error. Okay. So what I will be doing is I will share the link to this whole notebook, right? You can play around with the code. I will also upload the data sets. Please upload them as CSV and then use this code to start reading them. Okay. I hope you enjoyed the video. I'll see you again in another video. Till then, take care. Bye.